What is up, everybody? Welcome to the Smoking Tire Podcast. Listen up real quick. Just about everyone I know owns a trimmer. You know, the battery-powered or plug-in buzzer that trims your hair. And just about every guy has had a bad experience with a bad trimmer. Either the blades get dull, they start pulling hairs, or they're really loud, the motor feels weak, the battery dies, it freezes. Ugh, I think it is time to upgrade to the Brio Beardscape. I've been using the Brio Beardscape for about once a week for a year now, and I have yet to charge it. I charged it when I first got it, and it still has a battery gauge on it, and it still has plenty of juice. I'm talking like 65, 70 shaves probably I've used this thing, and it's still going. The one of the reasons is the ceramic blade. It lubricates better. It cuts better than steel. You don't have to lubricate it very much. It has less resistance. It stays extremely sharp. It's lovely. And one of my other favorite things about it is how powerful it is. It's got a high horsepower motor in there. Although it doesn't make a lot of noise, think of it like, like a Tesla or something. Torque now and without much effort. It may be time for you guys out there to upgrade to the Beardscape. Go to Brio for Life. That's the word Brio, the number 4 life.com, and use code SMOKING at checkout. Brio4life.com, code SMOKING at checkout. I got the best price on the internet, my friend, on the Brio Beardscape. We're also brought to you by Dylan Optics sunglasses. You know those awesome glasses I'm wearing in every single video? Those are Dylan Optics sunglasses. The matte finish means you'll stand out in a crowd, but the quality of the lenses is what will keep you coming back again and again. Every time I'm out at a car show or wherever, and I see folks, they ask me about my Dylan Optics sunglasses, and I always let them try them on. They're always just like super shocked about the quality of the lenses on my Dylan Optics sunglasses. They're just like, oh my God, this is like HD life. And if you go to thesmokingtire.com, under the partners tab, you can click on the Dylan banner right there. If you use that link on thesmokingtire.com under the partners tab, use that link to buy your Dylan Optics sunglasses, and I will send you a free Smoking Tire t-shirt for every pair you buy. It's very, very nice. My way of saying thank you for supporting the people who support us. Alrighty then, on this episode, I was supposed to go film a car, but it was raining, and so I called up my friend Christian James Hand, and I asked if he wanted to come talk about music again. The last time Christian was on the show, he blew everybody's mind with his knowledge of music. Christian does this really cool radio show called The Session, where he breaks down musical songs, very famous songs, track by track, so you can hear the individual artists' performances. It's one of the most addictive shows on the radio, KLOS here in Los Angeles, as well as on the internet. It's on SoundCloud, and I just love having this dude in studio to talk music. Christian James Hand on the Smoking Tire Podcast.
Welcome.
What it's for.
Thursday afternoon, rainy show. It's the Smoking Tire Podcast. What's up, fuckers? I need my caffeine to kick in. I'm fighting the itis from the Whole Foods salad I just finished.
Oh, nice.
But we'll get there.
Yeah.
Don't you worry. Christian James Hand is in studio.
Hello.
Thank you for last minuting this one.
I was on the bench, just the oiling my glove. And then
I figured
you were like, Coach, put me in.
I figured between like noon and 4 p.m. is your light time.
Yeah, on a Thursday, especially when I'm like, I was supposed to go and do something actually over at Fender today, and it got canceled. So this worked out perfectly.
At
Fenders and tires. No, the Fender HQ is now in Hollywood, off of Hollywood Boulevard, in this beautiful new Viacom thing that they've built over there.
Is that offices or factory too?
It's offices. It's
okay.
like the HQ of HQs.
Oh.
So they were having me over there because they're also fans of the show, which is very nice. So they want me to do some stuff for them.
For those who have never fucking heard of Christian, back it up about, 8 or 9 episodes. He was in here with Jason Camisa, maybe a little more than that, like a month or two. And man, we got so he does a thing called The Session, which is where he breaks down iconic rock music tracks into their individual tracks. I don't want to double use tracks, but that's what I mean.
Nice.
And does such a fucking good job at it that it's like fucking crack. Like, if you have access to more than one of the shows, you can't like stop
You
at
just do
one.
one.
I've been through like probably 60 of them.
Nice.
And on my bachelor party, you're not gonna like this. On my bachelor party, I like airdropped your file to like everybody.
Oh, nice. No, it's
So
perfect.
like
Please.
my friends are all into
Nice.
it. Like, and I've gotten emails from friends who are like, "Dude, this guy is the fucking king," because the show is, it makes you revisit rock that has maybe fallen by your personal wayside.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm trying to. I think one of the things to do is to get people to re-engage with songs that they've been like, I've heard that a million times. I don't give a shit. It's like, no, well, you should. And then hopefully that would then translate into other music that they would either be exploring to find or re-engaging. Like, why just listen to one song off of Now and Then when you could listen to the whole album and check it out?
Right. Like we said this morning, I was listening to Hot for Teacher in my kitchen
Smashing.
while making eggs.
Well done.
And you reminded me that Van Halen's like first album opens with Running with the Devil, Eruption
is
and
like
then,
track 2.
Yeah, and then like whose first album has the second track is like an 11-minute guitar solo?
Halen. That's who does. Yeah, I mean, let's look at that fucking track listing.
You guys drop fucking bombs in these things. Like, what was, like you said, because it's not just about the songs, and like it's partially very interesting to listen to a 3.5 minute bass line only on some shit where you're like, where did that even come from? What did I just listen to that had the most complicated bass line of it? It was Big Country, right?
Oh, that Big Country song.
The Big Country one? No.
Crazy.
I just listened to another song that out of nowhere, it's a pretty simple song, but it has the most complicated fucking bass line. Rio.
Oh, dude, Rio is not even
by
worth
Duran
talking about.
Duran has...
Can't even bother.
Because if you think of the song Rio, her name is Rio, and it's like, it's not a complicated song to mentally to process, but like, holy fuck, where did that bass line come from?
So, yeah, track 1, side 1 of the first Van Halen record starts with Running with the Devil, goes to Eruption, then it goes to You Really Got Me, then it goes to Ain't Talking About Love. That's the first 4 tracks. And then the
fucking amateurs.
Kicking off side 2 is Jamie's Crying, just for shits and grins. So there's like 4 singles that were enormous.
What's
on
the worst
first record.
song on that album?
Ice Cream Man is probably pretty...
I don't think I've ever heard of
Oh my God, yeah, Ice Cream Man is pretty rough. But it's like an old school blues song that they've sort of like reimagined. But yeah, I mean, that is a ridiculous...
It's a heavy-hitting
That's a heavy-hitting debut album.
Who else? Who in rock history, what are the heaviest-hitting debut albums?
Ooh, that's a really good
question. Some are not, like, I think the Killers. I think like 9 out of 11 tracks on the Killers album
Killers
became
is ridiculous.
singles.
The one I think that would probably machine gun most of them. It's Jagged Little Pill. Is very,
Jagged Little Pill.
Very difficult to beat.
Alanis
man.
Morissette. What percentage of all of is it? All
it's almost the whole thing. What's crazy is that I was in radio at that time, and every time they put out a single, she'd sell like another million records, and they went like 8 deep, which meant there were people on the planet who were like, those first fucking 7 songs I couldn't give a shit about, but this album, this 8th one is the one. I'm in now.
Ironic, don't you think?
Isn't that ironic, don't you think? It's like looking for a spork when all you need is a foon. And I was just, I was like, holy smokes! Like if you're not in on single 4, to go all the way. I mean, I think that record was.
Tim, can you pull up the track list for Jagged Little Pill, please?
Oh, it's ridiculous, man. I mean,
that's an album full of singles.
Full of singles. And it's got, some of the... Flea plays bass on it, which most people don't know.
Oh, does he really?
Yeah.
I did not know that.
The in-house bass player for that thing.
What do you got? What is the track list for Jagged Little Pill? I can't fucking read.
All I Really Want,
Single.
You Ought to Know.
Single.
Perfect.
Yep. Not a single.
Hand in My Pocket.
Single.
Definitely single.
Right Through You.
Nope.
Forgiven.
Nope.
You Learn.
Nope. Oh, no, You Learn was a single. Yeah,
totally.
Yeah, that one.
Head Over Feet.
Definitely.
Yep. Mary Jane.
Nope.
No.
Ironic.
Yep.
Yeah.
Not the Doctor.
Nope.
Wake Up.
Nope.
You Ought to Know.
Yep. So
over 50%.
Over 50% are singles, and they were all hits.
Yeah. Probably like maybe like a Hootie and the Blowfish. Also, like we're not going to be happy. Actually, this methodology is not going to lead us to.
No, it doesn't end well. Like the Creed of the world. Like I remember when the Creed record came out.
Oh shit, Creed.
Oh,
we
dude,
don't want to reckon with that.
It's not even worth it.
That's like
it is
when
a
we're like going to
reckoning.
deny our own history. Be like, no, dude, we didn't like Creed. No, I didn't know.
I mean,
I didn't know in my own prison. No,
I
don't know what you're talking about.
hated Creed, but I was when that record came out and you drove along Sunset Boulevard. Every time it sold another 1 million copies, they put another billboard up on fucking Sunset. It was insane.
Wait, but wasn't Mark Tremonti was good though, right?
Oh, they're all good.
They're all good.
Oh, they're all good. And the thing that people don't realize about Creed is like Creed. Personally, it's like having lit matches shoved down the back of my fucking nails, but. You can't deny.
Was it because of the Jesus, or is it because of
because of the whole thing?
Oh.
You know, like I just can't, man.
Yeah,
I have no
okay.
time for it whatsoever. But they earned it. Like when they first came out, there's this sort of like southern swing you can do on touring where you sort of you end at bless you
Timmy.
where you sort of end in Virginia and then you begin again and you swing back through and you basically
You're talking literal geography,
like
right
live
now.
being on the road,
okay,
and
sorry.
you end at Arizona because you don't come to the coast because we're just elitist shitheads who don't.
Wait, are you saying they loop the Bible Belt? Is
Yeah,
that what you're talking
and what they would do is they loop the Bible Belt
They
and
swirl the drain of Alabama.
Yeah, and every time they would swirl the drain, they'd play to like 250, and then there would be like a 2.5-3 week swing or a month, and then they would come back and it would go to 500 people, and then the next time they would come through, which would be 3 or 4 weeks later or a month later, 1,000 people. And every time they went, it built bigger and bigger and bigger, so that by the time they were signed, they were already immediately going to sell 1 million copies. And they worked really, really hard. It's just such a shame that they worked really, really hard on such garbage.
Such bad
It's like if they'd taken the time to build the Great Wall of China, and it was like a like the Great Gazebo of China.
It was late 90s, right?
Yes,
late 90s?
no, mid 90s. Yeah.
Why did I like Creed in the mid 90s? I don't understand.
A lot of people got
Why did
hornswaggled.
everyone like Creed?
Yeah, because it was because of the God thing, right? Like
I
the
didn't
God,
pick that up until I was an adult, much later. Swear
Right.
to God, not until Tremonti started the actual Jesus band,
Right.
When they crossed over
Altar
to
Bridge or whatever. Yeah.
It's Altar, yeah.
Is it an Altar Bridge?
Open Christianity is just not going to fly in my.
They were much
Keep that
more.
shit in the closet.
Yeah,
Don't
the-
ask to live Creed. Okay,
Right.
Altar Bridge.
Yeah,
no.
no. The only way you knew the Creed was if you watched the videos and he was in the Jesus Christ pose at all times. But
It's
always
hands
with
down.
the hands
It's always
down.
hands
Yeah.
down.
Well, because it's tough to do it when the nails are through your wrists. So the thing with the Jesus music is that it tends to always be in major chords. So it's very uplifting, and it's it does sort of bring you up a little bit, and it's clearly made for arenas. So if you can be easy, I mean, all a good pop song is just a manipulation of the audience that is pristine. So the greater a pop song you have, the more perfect your manipulation of the audience has been.
Oh, that's interesting.
So
it's like if you can get the audience to like mimic all your like breaths and shit in between the song, you have created a perfect song.
It's
right?
that, and it's sort of like if your transition from the verse into the chorus is flawlessly done, and then your transition from the chorus back into the verse and your bridge and if all of those pieces are working in complete, like Daydream Believer. Like you go back and listen to Daydream, it's a flawless piece of pop confectionery. It's constructed by, one of the greatest, played by monsters and performed by and R.I.P. Peter Tork, unfortunately.
Oh yeah, R.I.P. for sure.
That was a big one. As was Mark Hollis of Talktalk this week, which was very difficult for me. That was a very painful passing. At 64, man, that's awful.
What did he die of?
They don't know. They think that it was that he was a very, very like Talktalk. It's my life, the song that everybody thinks No Doubt wrote, which they didn't. It's a cover of Talktalk. They put out 3 records, which progressively get so fucking weird that by the end of record. I think it's Laughing Stock. The engineer in that record had to go into isolation tank therapy. In all seriousness,
He literally drove his engineer.
They
nuts.
drove each other crazy. And basically, so what they did was they had this.
I don't know much about Talk, honestly. I'm like probably 8 years too young for it.
They had like the pop thing that they did that they were doing the 80s thing, and they were brilliant at it. And then they did 2 records called Laughing Stock and Spirit of Eden that progressively get so weird. Steve Winwood played on Laughing Stock, I think. But anyway, they produced it in a downstairs basement that had no lights in it and just oil lamps and just fucking really weird. And people would go there and be like, these two, like it was Tim Freese-Green, who was the producer, engineer, and Mark Hollis, who's the lead singer and sort of the visionary of Talktalk. And it was so bizarre that people would go down there and be like, man, I don't want to come back down here. Like, I just want to track this and get out. And when
can I just like mail in a track from my house?
Yeah, this is the prior internet, so you have to show up and do your business. So it was so bad that he went into isolation tank therapy. And then when he went in to do the second record, when Tim Freese-Green went in to do the second record, Laughing Stock, which is the second record of these 2 weird ones, his wife demanded that he live in an apartment closer to the studio and not talk to her for the entire time they made the record, because it was such an intense process. So if you want to,
is this like the music version of method acting? Like, what's the benefit of doing some shit that's that weird?
Because what they did was they created a lexicon. Like, there's a thing that everywhere says that like the third member of that band was Silence, and there's this incredible instrument that
it's the notes between the notes.
It's the notes between the notes. And Mark Hollis has this weird instrument that shows up on a couple of their songs that you sort of like, it's a weird horn thing that you sort of blow into, but it can't stay on tune. And so they played this thing. So Mark Hollis had to go in and do a solo on one of the songs on this thing. And he started out with like 15 notes, and gradually they had to pare it down and pare it down and pare it down because the thing just couldn't hold key or tune. So eventually it got to the point where the solo is actually a single note. And Tim Freese-Green said that he was in the control room and he had a panic attack because he realized that the only thing,
guys, we're out of notes.
Yeah, he was like the only thing smaller than one note was total silence, which meant at some fucking point they were going to start recording silence, which they did, because if you get the Mark Hollis solo record which put out,
can I get the director's cut?
The first like minute and a half of this one song is literally just the silence in the studio, and then slowly you hear like a Leslie start to crank up, and then finally the song begins.
That's so awesome.
And that's kind of what they did. Was when it was really nice to see, like when he passed away, there was such a huge outpouring on Twitter and on social media from incredible musicians and people that you would have thought would have given a shit about Talk about how massively significant these 2 records are. So if you want 2 records,
would that be like prog rock? Is that what
no,
that is?
No, it's beyond. I mean, it really is like it created an entire new understanding of how you could deconstruct music in order to still be able to achieve a song. Like, that's what they did.
Who I think does the deconstructing thing is Jack White. I saw that. I don't like Jack White's music. Mm-hmm. It fucking annoys me, but it annoys me for the same reason that he does it. He had some record. There's that documentary called "This Might Get Loud."
It might get loud.
And he has some record that's basically like stomp, clap, stomp, clap.
Yep.
And he's like, my whole life,
I've been trying to beat that.
All I want to do is make a song better than this.
Yeah. And it's like an old,
and you just go, I want to punch you in the face so hard.
It's like an old Lightning Hopkins song or something. But the thing to like look at, right, is that the great tragedy of that is that he's never going to be able to do it, because the only thing that you would reduce down further would simply be an acapella track, and that is not what he's aiming for. So there's really no way that this guy will ever be able to achieve what he wants to achieve. And like Jack White, I'll give him this, man. Like, that fucking dude has meant it from day one, and he has a recording studio in Austin, I think it is, or Nashville. Might be Nashville. And so they have a live venue, and you go and you see the show, and then they have a vinyl cutter in the back room, and they cut live records in place, and then you buy them an hour later, which is pretty fucking rad.
That's pretty cool, yeah.
And he's doing that, and then another thing he has.
It's too bad. I want to like Jack White so much, and I hate his music.
His music is annoying.
I met him at a bar once, and he couldn't have been, aside from being like 6'6" and looking like the undead.
Very weird.
He couldn't have been sweeter to a total fucking loser stranger.
No, he's a complete sweetheart.
Yeah, but I just cannot like his music.
No, and every iteration, like every band he puts out, I'm like, this will be the. No, it isn't. That's not it either.
The Raconteurs, who are they? Oh, fuck! It's still Jack White.
It's as close as you can get. He has another thing where he has on the top of his recording studio, he has a small FM transmitter that allows him to transmit just outside, and he sits in his car with his cell phone and listens to the song, and then and calls the engineer and has him change things in
because
real
you wanted
time.
to listen.
He wants to be able to have
good.
a crush coming out of
Yeah.
FM radio because that's where So that sort of shit. Like
I've heard of people that do. They test it in different headphones.
you have
and
to.
Yeah.
It's a nightmare because the thing that people don't understand if you've never made a record is that it sounds completely different from speaker to speaker to speaker to speaker to speaker. So you can have a mix that's amazing, and then you take it into somebody else's house, and you're like, "Holy shit, where
You
all
don't
the
have
fucking
to make a
guitars
record.
go?"
You have to listen to your show. Your show does that.
Well, thanks.
I frequently listen to your show in the car.
Perfect.
That's where I share it with others because I'm in the car a lot.
Right.
And you say it all the time, and it's true that if you're not listening in headphones, you do miss out because there's nuance that you can't hear.
There's
But-
tiny little things, especially when the tracks are pulled apart like that. So, I mean, it's one of the things that I'll give Jack White is that he clearly has meant it from day one. And I thought it was really cute in that movie when, what's his name from Zeppelin starts to fucking crank up
What's
the
his
riff.
name?
Yeah, what's his name from Zeppelin?
What's his name was like, oh, you think, what's his name? Jimmy Page goes, you think you're good at guitar.
Right.
Oh.
Let me show you. Oh, man. And when he starts to play that riff and the other guys just stop in their tracks and are like,
Yeah, the movers are still bringing in the edges effects board.
Dude.
It's like for those who've never seen it, This Might Get Loud. It's basically Jimmy Page, Jack White, and the Edge.
Yes.
Sitting in an old house in England, I think, where Zeppelin may have recorded something.
It was the one where they
House
did
of the Holy or something?
the big record that had the huge drum sound on it and all that sort of shit. Yeah.
So they're sitting in there and they're all bullshitting about guitar, and Jack White plays some kind of little riff, and then Jimmy Page responds by fucking blowing the house
machine
apart.
gunning. Yeah, no, and you're like, oh shit. Yeah, that's why you're Jimmy Page.
Yeah.
But it was also kind of cool to
The
see.
Edge pulls his little hat down and goes ding ding
That's
ding
it.
ding.
It's like, hey, everybody knows you're bald, Dave. Take the fucking. Hey, you're not fooling anybody. But he's
Is that his name?
Yeah, Dave.
Dave is the Edge's name?
Dave is the Edge's name.
Oh. What's Dave's last name?
I forget what Dave's last name is. But the thing is that, like that was another one where you were like, why is the Edge there? And then you realize that, or I already knew, but I would hope that most people realize that he completely changed the sound of the guitar. Like prior to him, that big bling hugely delayed
the
Streets Have No
lead
Name.
rhythm?
Yeah, like none of that existed prior to him. And there's actually a great story about the sound guy at their first gig when they played in Dublin. He's standing there at the soundboard and he's like seen everything like 50 fucking times, this guy. And he's like, I'm fucking sitting there and he's fucking going, these stupid with their dumb hair. And they come in and they set up their shit and he's like, this guy with this fucking pedal board. And he's just got 9 million pedals. And he's like, what is this bollocks going to sound like? And then he started and that guy is still their front of house guy to this day.
He's like, oh.
He's like, you've reinvented the guitar at like 17 years old.
Can I have a career?
Yeah, and has. And it's still their sound guy, which is so beautiful.
Yeah.
Hold on.
Dave Evans.
Dave Howell Evans.
Timmy found on the Googles.
Better
Dave
known
Evans.
as the Edge, but it's actually just Edge, and I think it's just
The is silent.
Yeah, the is silent. You got added to Edge. But like the Bono Voxes of the world. Yeah.
Can we have a brief chat about Bohemian Rhapsody? The
we
film.
should.
The
we
film
should.
Bohemian
Yes,
Rhapsody.
Please do.
And speaking the song Bohemian Rhapsody,
Yes.
are you not performing this in San Francisco?
I am performing it in San Francisco March 9th at a place called The Monument.
Are there
which is
tickets left still?
There are. There's about 30 tickets left, which I'm really excited about. I can't believe I sold 170 tickets.
Dude,
I was sort of concerned that it would.
Anyone in San Francisco, buy tickets and go see Christian break down Bohemian Rhapsody. It takes like 90 minutes to do the whole
It's
song,
going to be
right?
a 2.5 hour
It's
show.
2 hours to do one
It's
song.
at least. Yeah, that thing.
Hannah, my fiance, and her sister Jillian will be there.
Oh, no way.
Yes.
That's awesome.
They have tickets. They will be
Nice. Yeah, it's going to be March 9th. If you want to go at the sessiononair.com, there's a click through to the ticket link. It's going to be.
Will you visualize that for us, Timmy?
It's going to be a deep dive into Bohemian Rhapsody, and it's extraordinary. I think it is the greatest. To me. So the Beatles come off the list immediately because they're unassailable. That you can't touch them. They're everything. So they're not even a rock band. So you start the list of greatest bands in all of music after the Beatles, and it begins with Queen, and it's that simple. You cannot. Queen is #1 greatest rock band in all of music.
That's a big.
It's unbeatable, and I will defend that to the end because first off,
because they all wrote hits.
He dies in the end. Yeah. Everybody in the band not only wrote number ones. Everybody in the band, including the drummer, wrote number one hits.
How many drummers have written number one that aren't Phil Collins?
Phil Collins, obviously. What's his name from the Eagles? Also wrote number ones. The dude from
Dave Grohl.
Dave Grohl's written some number ones. Night Ranger, I think that guy played drums and he was a number oneer. Also the I Hear Secrets That You Keep. I don't know if that went to number one, but that was a hit and that was a drummer-led band. There's very few because it's a really difficult thing to do.
Every time I watch Matt Cameron sing and play drums at the same time, it looks so fucking hard.
It's really difficult to do. It's because you're like... You're regimenting something, but then lyrically, generally, you're floaty over the top of stuff. And you're like, and I can't. I mean, I play and have tried to play and sing at the same time. And you can do a backbeat, but when you start to do drum fills and get fucking fancy pants on it, it's a guarantee.
It all falls apart.
It's gonna fall to pieces.
Okay,
no doubt
so
about it.
Bohemian Rhapsody, the movie.
Yes.
You don't like it.
3-word review: piece of shit. Total garbage.
What about his performance?
Garbage.
Rami Malek's
Caricature.
performance?
It's not acting. It's
You know who I
caricature.
thought did a good job?
Who?
The rest of the band.
The rest of the band, dude. First off,
They all looked exactly
John
fucking...
Deacon looks like fucking John Deacon.
I hadn't looked at a picture of John Deacon in a long time,
Right.
and then when I saw an actual documentary after watching the movie, I was like, "Holy shit! Whoever dressed up fucking John Deacon looks
flawless.
He looked exactly like him, and the Brian May was pretty spot on as well.
The Roger Taylor was there was a better casting choice for Roger Taylor.
Who
but,
would have been the better casting choice?
I forget who put it up there. It was a guy who'd been in another musician movie, and he looked a lot more like Roger Taylor. But the rest of the band was fantastic. I thought that. You know, every time you saw every time a piece of music showed up, I got teary-eyed, and then of course in the ending, you can't help but weep. The two things that I think: first off, the movie's garbage, and if you're going to tell that story, why do you need to fuck around? Like, just so everybody knows.
We just both said a couple really nice things, and then you said the movie's garbage.
It's
so
garbage.
Can we unpackage that a little bit?
Yeah. All right. So, if you've seen the movie. Anything that happens between the songs is entirely fucking made up. There is
By who?
By the screenwriter. And I recently read an article where, by all accounts, Brian May was really uncomfortable with the fact that the storyline was being changed from truth to myth, and that the director or somebody else, like Bryan Singer or someone else involved, or the writer, was like, yeah, it doesn't matter. The story is not as important as the fact that it's Queen. And Brian and Roger had to sort of back off a little bit. But... none of he was in a fucking band for years before he met Smile. He was friends with the ex-lead singer of Smile. The chick that Mary was not some chick that he randomly met. She was Brian May's girlfriend at the time that he met her. There was no record executive who did the whole thing with the record executive storyline. He never quit the band. They never had the fucking meeting where they all sat and fell in love with each other
made
again.
Demands about...
None of that ever happened. And then the big one, the one that I think, like the rest of them, I don't give a fuck about.
He also had apparently a very busy morning the day of Live Aid. He fucking went to see every single person he knows, and allegedly, and that's you can get away with all of them because a lot of these things you have to fuck around with timelines and blah 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 blah. But I think it is completely unforgivable to try to create the bullshit plot point that Live Aid was a show that was done when they knew that he was dying of AIDS. That's a load of garbage. They had no fucking clue. He kept it a secret till 2 years after Live Aid, and then kept it a secret publicly for another 8 years after that before he finally died. And the thing for me is that the Live Aid performance... And did they... I'm sorry to interrupt, but
Please.
I was fucking young during this. I mean, I was born in 1981, so I don't know...
Were you really?
Yeah. Sorry.
Jesus Christ.
Look, if it makes you feel any better, you look better than I do. So
I'll take that. Thanks, man.
Yeah. But,
thanks, kid.
But did they continue to perform and go on? I don't remember the timeline.
No, like once Freddie dies, it's sort of
no, not after Freddie dies. I mean, in between Live Aid.
Oh yeah,
and
that
when
was
he died.
That's the thing about Live Aid that people don't. That's the thing that gets obfuscated by this garbage movie is that. Live Aid, they everyone was like, oh, who the fuck, Queen, kind of, and then they played Live Aid, and everyone was like, oh my God, it's the greatest rock band that's ever walked the earth.
Was it that binary then?
Yeah, it was. People, I mean, I had left England and come to the States at that point. And they had sort of fallen from grace in England. Nobody really cared about them. They had hits, but it was like, man, it's Queen. Like, they're just Queen. And then Live Aid happened. You know, Elton John went backstage to their dressing room.
Was the lack of enthusiasm because they weren't doing these arena rock
they were just
epic things, or because of
it was? I think it was more like they had carried on going and they were still writing hits because, you know, Radio Gaga and Another One Bites the Dust and all that shit. So they still had hits, but I think that everyone had just sort of it was like a piece of furniture. Like, everyone was used to Queen being around. And then when you get to see them, I mean, that was the thing about Live Aid, if you watched it in context, you got to see them play with every other amazing band that's ever been around at that point, and they machine gunned everybody. Elton John went back to their dressing room after the show and looked at them all and was like, "You just headlined Live Aid." And they played during the day. Like, the thing to remember is, like, they weren't a big enough act to get a nighttime slot. They played during the day, and they reestablished who they were in the rock pantheon. And from that point on, they became, you know, like they were the much lauded, much loved, cared for thing that Queen was up until Freddie's death and even post. But before that, they had sort of fallen from grace. Like, they'd done Flash and all that kind of shit, and nobody really cared. They become almost a caricature of themselves. And this movie downplays how significant Live Aid was. And my thing is, like, what they should have done is Rami Malek, when he pulled that curtain back and walked out onto the fucking stage, they should have immediately cut to the real footage of Live Aid. Which would have been, because nobody has ever seen that on a fucking movie screen. Like, if you could have seen Freddie Mercury and that band on a movie screen with the crowd really doing the Radio Gaga thing.
Shamefully, I did not take your request or recommendation to pull it up on YouTube and watch it. Is the resolution and quality of something that would work in a theatrical film?
Well, if they could spend the time and money to make an entirely fake Wembley Stadium in the fucking movie and animate all those little, you know what I'm saying? They could have done some kind of digital compression, recompression.
Probably.
And they used the audio because he's lip syncing
to
the actual audio.
Was the actual Live Aid performance that sort of melody of songs?
Yeah, it was a medley.
I'm sorry, not melody. Medley.
Yeah, no, it was. There was
a couple halves in there.
Yeah, and they took a couple songs out of it for the movie that were like deeper cuts that nobody gave a shit about. But in general, yes, it was exactly that sort of thing where they went from one to the other. Like Bohemian Rhapsody started and they got out before the big opera section, which is impossible to do. And then they just smashed from like hit to hit to hit.
Did they perform that live typically? Yes. No, I mean, like, in their normal shows, they would perform the operatic
They had
stuff.
a lot of it was on tape.
Oh, so they would backtrack for some of that stuff?
Roger would have the headphone and be able to do it. But, I mean, it still must have been spectacular to watch them do. I mean, that's the thing is, like, imagine them, you know, it's like there's nothing more exciting for a band than the tour where you get to show how big your dick is from the record that you just made. So when they walked on stage after that record to tour it, they knew that they had the biggest fucking wangs in all of music at that point. And, you know, by the time he died, when they were playing gigs, you got to remember, like, they had so many number one hits, had so many smashes across the fucking planet that going to see him was like, if you've never seen Billy Joel live, go and see Billy Joel before he dies he only plays hits.
Yeah. Even when he does not playing
right,
hits,
when it's a deep
playing,
album cut, you're like, oh no, it's a hit still. Like, I know it. You know, and
I've been to a couple of those. They're awesome.
Awesome.
Yeah, they're awesome.
Good.
He can fucking play.
And
I got to see Axl Rose sing Big Shot, which is extraordinary.
That's awesome. Yeah. Like, you remember that stuff. You're like, oh, dude, like, even the ones when, like, Down Easter Alexa and that shit, like, the latter stuff in his career where you're like, oh, no, he was still writing great songs. Yeah. Like, and the cool thing
you know what I love about Billy Joel is oh, fuck, I'm blanking on the name of the song, but it's These Are the Last Words I Have to Say, and literally he never wrote anything again.
After that.
He wrote a song called I'm Fucking Done Now.
Yeah, I'm out.
He hasn't written a word since.
Yeah, no.
And he plays every night at Madison Square Garden. And
that's insane.
Stamps $1 million.
Yeah, like he did this thing. If you don't know, he did this thing in Madison Square Garden. But basically, he's like, I'm just going to keep playing until people stop showing up.
And eventually, one might not sell out,
right?
And that'll be it.
That'll be it. But he does all.
Mr. Joel, we had one empty ticket tonight.
That's it. I'm fucking done.
Fucking call again.
He does this really cool thing where he takes he never sells the tickets to the front row of his show. And then he sends his road manager out into the crowd, and they pull people down from the top because he's like, I'm sick and tired of standing on stage and seeing a bunch of 1%ers in the front row who don't give a fuck. He's like, I'd rather have the front row be people like, oh my god,
that's boss.
I mean, well, yeah, it's
That's
the other boss. Yeah, no. It's,
also that boss.
That boss is also boss. So like if you can get to see Billy Joel, I mean, that's the thing is that I think that. It's interesting about the Bohemian Rhapsody thing is I think that it's really starting to set in with people that these monoliths are passing away and there is nobody to fill. Like the Coldplay movie's going to be pretty fucking trite and somewhat boring.
I really look forward to the Gwyneth interpretation.
You know, like I really want to see how that played out.
What's going to happen with like... I watched the Avicii documentary.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if you could fictionalize that in a way that would be sensational, but like I found it very, very sad.
Very sad.
Yeah.
A tragic story.
Yeah, like it seemed like he pretty much worked himself to death.
Yes.
Which is really, really sad. And especially, and then the flip side of it, you've got Steve Aoki's documentary, I'll Sleep When I'm Dead, where it's the same exact fucking thing, except he doesn't die.
Right.
Like he will, but he hasn't yet. And it glorifies that whole like literally hustle until you drop dead, even if you're making $1 million a show.
I don't like take some fucking time off, gentlemen.
Chill.
And also like Avicii had, I think there were, obviously some drug issues there as well because there, like that's the thing is when you're working at that level, it's really hard you have to be a very, very...
It seemed like they were prescribing him a lot of painkillers. Yeah, like it wasn't even like about getting high. It was like, if I take these 10 Vicodins, I could do this show.
Yeah, I can make it through another one of these. And, like they're just beating themselves to death. And it's one of, like when the Beatles went to see Elvis, and they left, they sort of had this really sad conversation in the limo on the way home because they realized that the thing that had saved them was that there were 4 of them. And if you've ever been in a band, it's like, one day you're friends with the bass player for 3 weeks and then he fucks you off, so you go and hang out with the lead singer and then you're mates with him for a month and a half. And you just sort of like rotate through friendships. But Elvis was just one guy on his own. Like Avicii was one guy on his own. Aoki's one guy on his own. And when that is your life and being on the road sucks. It is a miserable fucking place to find you. The first week on a tour bus is so fucking cool. When it's 4 months long, you want to kill yourself. Like
I can imagine.
It's brutal.
It's like driving cross country. I do these long drives all the fucking time.
Right.
The first hour, the last hour are dope, and everything in between is just
a blurry
fucking
bullshit.
Yeah, it's a green field and cows going by. It's the same
and then
shit.
people. It's when you go out on the road with Peter Gabriel. He does this really cool thing where all of the cities that you go into, he has an itinerary of things to do in that city already set up. Because his whole thing is like, when you're on the road, you go to these amazing places and you don't see them.
Yeah.
You're either in the fucking venue or you're a hotel or you walk around one city block, but you don't do anything.
That's a luxury that not a lot of people south of Peter Gabriel get to experience.
Exactly.
I mean, I get to go to a bunch of places for my job, but I find myself experiencing these places at 80 miles an hour from the driver's seat of a car.
Yep.
And I spend a lot of time in places just long enough to say I was there. What'd you do there? Well, I drove through at 80 miles an hour.
Right.
And,
what's your average stay on, like, if you get sent to a place? Like, if you're going to go
Not long. Like, if I go on, like, a press launch, like those McLaren things you were talking about, like, that was 2 cars, so it was 3 days. So I flew in, stayed over, drove 1 car the first day, stayed over, drove another car the second day, and then went home.
And flew back.
Yeah, and then, you've been driving all day, so you drive, you have cocktails, you have dinner, you're fucking asleep by 9:30.
Where was the McLaren thing at?
That was in Phoenix, so Phoenix is easy, but like I flew to Portugal for 36 hours once. You know what I mean? Like, it sounds dope.
Yeah, but it isn't.
Not really. It's kind of annoying.
It's like driving. It's like flying to Phoenix. It's like the same. It's just another.
You might
fucking,
as well be
exactly.
in Phoenix. Like, what's the difference?
And you go to these amazing
a great
cities.
Gin and tonic, but like, all right.
Yeah. When I was on the road, I would always try to find a way to spend, even if it's just walking around, like try to find some time to go. Like Amsterdam, I did a bunch of cool shit. Most of it I was very, very high for.
Understandable.
As you should be. It's the only way to see that.
In Amsterdam, that's pretty much the national sport is
Cup of
get
coffee.
high and walk.
Yeah. Did you know that's what they're doing in Santa Monica Boulevard in Boys Town this summer? It's going to become legal to sell marijuana in a coffee shop.
There's they're calling them consumption lounges here, and they are giving, I believe, 8 licenses in West Hollywood. Is it
nice?
8?
I would imagine it's probably enough.
A friend of mine applied.
Did he really?
Did not get.
Oh, okay.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
Some of the ones they have approved. I mean, they literally Dude, my boy's prospectus was fucking sick. I mean, I read it and I was like, this came out of you? What the fuck?
Right.
And it was like 150 pages of numbers and branding. And, I mean, holy shit. And apparently they had hundreds and hundreds of applications. MedMen, I don't think, got one.
Wow.
Which is surprising.
I'll bet your Rage did.
Somebody, dude, like, there's going to be one that's like a 5-star restaurant where they're cooking with weed and it's tasting menus, and there's another one is going to be like it's all super foodie and green juice and yoga, and none of them, the ones that I read about that got approved, none of them were
just a coffee stop and a joint.
You know what I'm looking for? You've been to Amsterdam. I'm looking for De Domp Kring. If you've been to the Domp Kring or Barney's or the Greenhouse or the Grasshopper, just a fucking nice bar to blaze up and also have a beer.
Yeah.
That's all I want. I don't think so. I think they've really gone this fucking, you got to have a creative concept.
Right.
Like, no one's like, I'm going to open a pub that you can smoke weed in.
Yeah.
And people are like, genius!
That's it. That's the sister. Oh my God. The manhole.
We were just in Vancouver for my bachelor party. Have you hung out there ever?
Yes.
Fucking cool spot.
It's a great city.
Cool spot.
Yep.
There's a weed smoking zone at the airport, which is hilarious.
Is that
Yes.
did you put a picture of that up?
I did.
Yeah, brilliant.
The green zone at the airport.
Yeah.
I was early for my flight, and I used that time very wisely
Amazing.
to dispose of my
As you should.
leftover weed.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it was the weed was very cheap. It was very good.
Yep.
It was very accessible. It was all very civilized.
Yeah,
in
that's
Vancouver. There's the sign.
I know, it's so good.
Yeah, and actually the fine print says if you wish to smoke cigarettes or vapor in an area where there isn't weed, go to zone 2. That's what it says on that. That's what the fine print says on that sign.
This is why Canada's doing all the right things.
Fucking Canada. You know what Canada is? They're not going to like this.
No.
Canada is America that never enslaved anybody.
No, it's totally true.
If America it could eliminate its history of slavery and everything resulting from it, Canada.
Yep.
It's so clean.
It's so clean.
Everyone gets along.
Everyone gets
so
except if you're French. The French don't seem to get along with themselves in that place. But yeah, I did a tour, and we went through all of the main cities of Canada, and all of them are fucking amazing.
Most underrated Canadian city? What do you think?
Winnipeg.
I never fuck with Winnipeg.
Nobody does. That's why it's underrated. Yeah, nobody
I was
does
there
it.
for 3 months. It's just fucking cold.
It's
Where,
cold.
Winnipeg?
Yeah,
It's
Winnipeg
Minnesota just further.
Yeah. It's Minnesota raised up.
Speaking of which, I think I have to go to Minnesota. Have you ever heard of a Sherp?
No.
Can you search for an image of a Sherp? SHERP. I bet you've seen a video of this. This is one of the coolest fucking things ever built. It's that's it. The Sherp Ultimate
that
ATV.
fucking thing?
Yeah. They now have a U.S. distributor.
What? It's like a combine harvester without the fucking combine on
it's
it.
small. It's not as big. It's like half the size of a combine. It's a 2-seater. And,
What's the whole back bit?
I don't know.
What's this?
I don't know. The part behind, it's some kind of a cab. I don't really know. I can't actually find a good picture of the interior. Oh, there's a picture with a dude in it.
It is tiny.
Yeah, so that's one with a human kind of on it.
Yeah.
And so as you see in this image, it floats. The tires are so big that it floats, and they're paddle tires.
Right.
So you paddle like a fucking paddle wheel boat. It has heat, and we're going to get to drive it on like ice lakes and all kind of crazy shit.
What's the going price for a Sherp?
I don't fucking know. We're going to find out.
That's it might be the greatest Burning Man vehicle ever made.
Can you go to their main website and see what the retail price is, Timmy? But like, doesn't that look like the most fun thing, period?
Yeah, no, it looks like if you were a kid and you designed like the perfect toy that was an adult size, it's exactly what you're like, big fucking wheels and a little cab.
Look, Timmy just got the price, but it's quoted in rubles.
Oh my god! All right, so now I have to get the rubles to dollars conversion
use
chart.
the Facebook converter tool. 58 grand. That's it,
$58,000,
bro. Can we get tags on this thing? That sounds like a value.
Man.
You think I could finance for 144 months?
They have a great lease. It's 2,500 miles a year.
Dude.
Man, that is... So when are you doing that?
I think in 2 weeks.
No way.
I think so, yeah.
And who is it Sherp that's bringing it in, or is another
company
company
taking... They have a
taking...
distributor. Yeah, they have a distributor. It's in a town that I literally... All right, someone... How do you pronounce this? Here's how it's spelled.
Yep.
It's spelled... Wait, BEM
Bem.
IDJI. Bemidji. BEMIDJI.
And where is that?
It's in Minnesota. It's 3 hours north of Minneapolis. Bemidji, I think. Is it Bemidji?
It can't
I don't know,
be.
but that big ass lake is frozen,
And you're
I get
going
to drive
with a fucking Sherp.
Hell yeah!
Sick.
That rules.
So you're not supposed to drive these on the road, obviously. This is just
I
a
haven't
glamorous
seen-
recreational vehicle sort of
I think
madness
so, yeah.
thing.
I don't think I've seen any images of him on the road, but who knows? I bet there's at least a dozen states in America
Yeah,
where
well,
you
you
could drive
can.
that shit
Yeah,
on the road.
absolutely. They're like, of course, it makes total
I'm
sense.
so excited to drive this. fucking
That's,
thing.
I mean, that is like, that's literally like the biggest kid job you could
Yeah.
have in the world. Is just to get a $60,000
I'm like,
Tonka toy.
people are like, dude, you want to drive my new fucking sports car? I'm like, nope. Don't give a fuck.
How big are the wheels? Are they bigger than me?
They're like, I think they're 60s or something.
Amazing.
No. This morning I was supposed
That's
to go
pretty good.
drive a 68 Dodge Charger that had 1,000 horsepower.
Oh, the one you put the picture?
The Speed Core thing.
Yeah, you did the video of it.
I was supposed to drive that.
Didn't
Rain.
happen.
Rain.
Oh, rain.
Yeah, no thanks.
Sons of
Didn't
bitches.
want to die.
Yeah, I was pretty stoked for my. You still owe me the Countach ride, obviously. But
You may
for
have.
my 50th. I went out and Trims took me out smashing through the Angeles Crest in the little red Porsche.
She's a
which
good driver.
was so sick.
I also saw it looked like you got to have a go in Camisa's
Oh, my
308
God.
GT4. Did you enjoy?
It's amazing.
Is that your only Ferrari? Have you driven other Ferraris?
That's the only Ferrari I've ever driven.
It's lovely, isn't it?
It's absolutely like I have a shitty like I don't smile in photos because I hate my face.
I used the picture of the for the promo
Oh, nice.
for the
Well,
promo
thanks.
for
yeah,
this
yeah.
show.
It's
Yeah.
the only picture you'll ever see of me smiling because I look at that thing. I could not.
You would
stop.
smile like that if you were in a Sherp driving
I would,
over
for
whatever
sure.
the fuck
Yeah,
that
whatever
guy's
that
driving
is.
over.
Yeah.
I wish we could
should have a
play-
squadron of Sherps.
Bro.
You know, like 6 Sherps.
Do you know how often I have these fantasies of quote when me and my friends are all rich? When me and my friends are all rich,
yeah.
we're gonna buy 100 acres in Minnesota
And just Sherp the shit
and
out of
have
it? Sherp land?
demolition derbies with turrets on them and all kind of fucking crazy.
Oh, I'm in paintball turrets and the
Yeah.
whole 9 yards.
Yeah.
When I first started hanging out with the Gravediggers, which was a Wu-Tang Clan offshoot, the Wu-Tang Clan at that point would only travel through Manhattan in a convoy of like 12 slammed to the ground, pimped out MPVs.
Mazda MPVs.
Mazda MPVs.
Oh my
dude.
god! Do you know how happy that makes
It
me?
was so good. Like of all the things,
I can rate. That's a headline. A headline. Wu-Tang only travels in slam.
Yeah, MPVs
Tim,
at this point.
for those who are not old enough to recall, can you get a slammed Mazda MPV? I
yeah.
just saw one on the road the other day and was like,
yeah.
I haven't seen one. Other than that one, I hadn't seen it in
And it was like they were all black on black on black on black on black,
Yeah.
of course, with like black tinted windows.
No, we need to go older. That's too new. MPV, we got to go, what, 90s? Early 90s?
90s for sure, 92
Yeah.
MPV.
Is there
But it was like 12 of them, and they would all snake through, and like they'd a convoy of them, and then the side
MPVs.
doors would open up, and the weed smoke would just all tumble out, and then they would all,
rappers were into MPVs for a minute
because there wasn't really anything back then, if you think about it, in 92 that you could get all of your homeboys into, that you could just have a driver like
I mean,
SUVs.
I guess Grand Caravans were not cool.
Nope.
SUVs didn't really
exist.
yet.
Like all you had was like the Ford Explorer, like maybe was the only 4-door that you could get. Yeah, like this.
The middle one with the middle guy. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, exactly. This shit.
That's a slammed on.
Yeah, like with like the tinted crazy windows, and then they
For
had
any
fat
fan-
rims on it.
Anyone out there under 25, it's gonna be very hard for you to believe that
Anybody.
rappers driving these
Let
was
alone,
really-
yeah. No, it was amazing.
Well, you go back to like New Jack City.
Right.
New Jack City, there's a great scene of like Wesley Snipes and the CMB brothers driving like this Wrangler on like tiny little BBS wheels.
Yeah. Remember that? Yeah, that fucking thing where there was like these the most useless wheels ever for
Tiny.
a vehicle of that
Tiny.
size.
I was just at the Peterson Museum, which is fucking great. Everyone should go if they're in LA. It's a great stop, even if people aren't that into cars. Like if your family, like they'll love it too. But there's a car that's of the design language referred to as Bosozoku. Are you familiar with Bosozoku?
No.
Bosozoku is a Japanese. It's like if you turned your car into like a Japanese anime character.
Oh, nice.
So imagine a front splitter that's like comically like literally the size of this table. Like stuck in the front of the car, and then like your exhaust will just come straight out the hood.
Yeah, okay.
But then it'll be like a 10-foot like exhaust that goes back. Like, Timmy, can you get a Bosozoku?
Good luck spending that.
Bosozoku. 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 And Bosozoku, yeah, there you go.
Oh man,
That's a Bosozoku car,
What?
right? So they have a couple at the Peterson, and they have one. There's one where the steering wheel, I shit you not. Here's the visual. Come back to camera, Timmy. To my camera here. The top of this cup of coffee was the diameter of the steering wheel.
like
Both
that.
your hands like this. And this is how you
So
drive.
is the point that the exaggeration is that like
Yeah.
this guy? The exaggeration is the point.
The exaggeration is the point, and these are actually reasonably tasteful by comparison. Give me that orange one up at the top.
Oh yeah, that thing.
So
with the
look at the
fucking Shazam
exhaust.
on the
See
back.
the exhaust?
Look at that.
That's the actual exhaust.
What?
Yeah. So that the exhaust looks like lightning bolts that go about 8 feet high.
That's the Eliminator. That's some ZZ Top
Yeah,
action.
totally. And so there's
Man.
this is the Japanese import version of another style referred to as Decatora, and Decatora is decorated semi trucks. That's
Oh right.
Dekotora. Decotora. Dekotora.
How long has this Von Suzuki thing been going on?
A long time, but look at the trucks. You think
Oh my
that's nuts?
God.
The trucks are nuts. The Decatora trucks are way fucking over the top. Man, you remember that Broadway play Starlight Express?
Yeah, of course. Look at that shit.
Whoa, that one
That's
rules.
rules.
Does that have a balcony on
Yeah,
top?
it's got 2 balconies. That is literally a Burning Man art car. That's exactly what they look like.
You could just bring one of these straight to. Have you done Burning Man ever?
I have like 7.
Oh,
I'm a
really?
7-year veteran. Yeah.
Going up to current year or back in the day?
I didn't. I haven't been for the last 2. I think I'm actually going to go because some guys came to one of my sessions, and I do this bit where if it's a really cool drum and bass thing together, I do a joke where I'm going to you'll find me in the middle of the fucking playa on the back of a huge unicorn, ketamine out of my mind, playing this track for 48 hours. So then at the last show, in the intermission, these 2 guys came up to me and they're like, "Oh my god, dude, we own Charlie the Unicorn. That was our art car."
Wait, was it Ken Feldman?
Yeah, Kevin.
Oh
So,
yeah, he's my neighbor.
That's right. So
Across the
that's
street
why he
from me.
came. That's right.
All the people at Burning Man, he runs into my neighbor Ken Feldman.
Yeah. So he came to the show on your recommendation, actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
that's fucking
So he
great.
came to the Doobie Brothers Freebird one. So he came to that, and then is now. It looks like I'm going to go to Burning Man and do some sessions on the 747 this summer, which is going to
That's
be
golden.
fucking sick.
They got in a lot of trouble. So Ken Feldman is a fucking lunatic.
Lunatic.
Can you get a picture of Charlie the Unicorn Burning Man art car? It's he built this fire breathing bus that's like a unicorn, and it just
It's
shoots
ridiculous,
fire
yeah.
and it's crazy. And then he wanted to. There it is. Charlie the Unicorn. Burning Man fucking bus
Ridiculous.
art car, and it has it shoots fire out of its little horn there.
Yep.
And then they wanted to one up that, so this crazy fuck bought a 747
Yep.
actual, and turned it into and an airport tug,
Yep.
actual,
Yep.
and turned it into a nightclub, like an actual Burning Man nightclub.
And they've been
Get a
sort of-
shot of it lit up at night, bottom middle right there, yeah.
Yeah, right. So that, and they've slowly been built. So that's the one before the wings got added.
Yeah.
So they've been slowly building this
this
thing, and it's
dude-
getting bigger and bigger. So this year is going to be even bigger, and I'm going to do sessions on it. And he was telling me that the miscalculation last year was they didn't realize they have to build a fucking road to get it off the playa.
Yeah, they had to like abandon ship it.
Which
they
is
had to leave it on the
crazy.
side of the fucking playa.
I mean, it is such a huge undertaking.
Dude,
So-
like, because this is such, like, I got to get Ken on the show. It's probably worth it to have him on the show
Oh,
to
yeah.
talk about this, because it's, like, so most people don't realize that outside of Los Angeles, there is an airplane graveyard. And
Right.
you can go there, and you can buy anything from a scrapped shell piece of shredded metal that you could turn into a lamp in your house, anything from that to a plane that you can literally fly out of there. So Ken bought, for as a representative of, I think it's called Big Imagination is the name of the company, but he runs the shit. He bought the shell of a 747
Yep.
for sheer scrap value. It had no engines, it had no interior, but it was a complete
Yes.
747, and I think it was 70 grand.
What?
Yeah, like, it was not expensive. It's the value literally of scrap aluminum.
the
So-
weight of the aluminum.
Totally. So
What?
he bought this thing, and then he rented part of the Mojave airplane graveyard,
Yep.
and where he was allowed to convert it to this
nightclub,
and bought I think it's a 70-ton airport tug.
Yeah.
And he fucking tows this thing around.
Yeah, and so the first year
So
it was
crazy.
just the fuselage on the floor, and it didn't have wheels or anything. And then gradually they've been, adding elements to this fucking thing to the point where now it's, what would you say? It's without the full wingspan. It's probably
It's the longest. I know that it's the longest that it can be legally to be towed by a special truck on it. Like, it's the trailers that it sits on
Yeah.
define its maximum length.
Oh, okay.
So if you picture a 747, it's cut off roughly behind 10-15 feet behind where the wings would attach to the body.
Yeah.
It's still
It's
giant.
huge. And when you see it in the middle of the playa at Burning Man, it's extraordinary because it's a fucking plane.
It's so much bigger than everything else.
It's huge.
I went there when he bought it, and I stood out the hatch on the top, and you are so high up.
Oh yeah.
It's really,
Yeah,
really cool.
it's brilliant. So so this year he's invited me because
That's so
they're trying to do VIP stuff, really cool. Because they were last year we did the big ravey thing where everybody's sort of dancing outside. So this year they want to sort of bring it in and use the actual fuselage. So we're talking about me going and doing 3 sessions out there. I want to do a sunrise Lucy in the Sky with diamonds kind of thing, which would
I
be
think
dope.
it'd be really fun. Yeah, that's
be great.
fucking cool.
So I'm actually, because the reason I didn't go over the past couple of years was my shitbag ex-girlfriend can have the burn for the moment, and not bitter at all. Totally over it. And then I was like, I don't really know what I'd go back for because I've been, after 7 years, you're like, what am I going to do next? So this would be perfect.
Yeah,
I'm really excited to go
definitely.
back and do my business out there.
That's extremely cool.
But my eventual goal is that I'm going to build a life-size Millennium Falcon. That's going to drive around the desert.
What is life size?
As
mean?
in the same size as the one that Han Solo would get in.
That's
Huge.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I know. I already got it's all up here. I've already worked out how I'm going to do it.
I'm sure Ken's got spare time.
Yeah. And it's going to look like the Kenner toy version, though. So,
Right.
the bit that you lifted off is going to be off, and that's going to be open, and that's where the club is going to be. And then there's going to have to be members of my squad who are doing shifts where they get to be Chewbacca and Han Solo and everybody in the cabin.
Gold leader standing.
Yeah. You got to. So that's and the big blue jets on the back of it because it's going to move. It's not going to be stationary. It's going to have to be able to drive around Burning Man. So that's my goal.
I can see this is thought out.
Dude, I'm in.
I want to hate Burning Man so much, but I also want to go for the art and the fire and the cars.
The thing is, my friends run the Death Guild. They're in the Death Guild, which is the Mad Max fucking. Which is just. You should go to Wasteland.
That's the actual Mad Max cosplay thing, right?
Yeah. And it's actually a bunch of the people that built the Mad Max cars. Like my friend Spud actually built. He built. You would love this. It's called Blowjob.
That's going to be a tough one to Google.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to adjust this search. Just blowjob Burning Man car Wasteland. So he built a car that has a jet engine attached to it.
Well, this sounds like a good idea.
Is exactly. No, that's not it.
Is it jet powered?
Yes, it's jet powered.
Okay.
And these guys do this every year. They do a big Wasteland. They're
The
actually going to
search
do.
term is jet-powered blowjob.
Weirdly, it's just a bunch of captains and stewardesses. Here it is.
That's definitely what you get if you Google that. Yeah.
So this is
a lot of Mile High clubbing.
This is it with the jet engine.
It's okay. That is not a car. That is a dune buggy.
Yeah, with a jet engine attached to it.
Yes, yeah.
Because they are, they're sort of like this way.
No,
I've
seen pictures. What it's called Wasteland Weekend, I think,
yes.
right? Can you? Yeah, it's literally everyone dresses like the California Love video.
They're burning. Yeah, it's Mad Max meets Burning Man. I mean, all of the cars are hand built and
I remember Johnny Lieberman went out there, and his Instagram was fucking lit that weekend.
Yeah. No, and everything's on fire at least most of the time. So that's a big, that's a huge contingent of Burning Man is the Death Guild folks.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And then there's the ravers, but there's been some big rule changes this year, which I think are going to definitely affect how shit it got in the past couple of years, because it had become Burnchella, and I think this year we're gonna
Burnchella.
Yeah, they're gonna roll that back a little bit. But yeah, I urge everybody.
Oh yeah, they're not allowing like the private jets anymore, right?
And the
no
super
more private
camps,
jets.
like the big theme camps, are being shut down because the idea was to go and actually participate. Like that's the reason that you go. So having a big mega camp where everybody gets sequestered away behind walls and walls of shit is like, what are you fucking actually doing here?
Yeah.
So I actually, when I first came to LA, my roommate and I came from New York, and we would come home and routinely be like, why is it every fucking party that has to have the one dick who won't shut up about how fucking cool Burning Man is? Like at every party. If you guys have never been to the Burn, I was like, fuck this.
There's no money on the playa. It's all barter.
I mean, it's just your intention is everything. So I was like, fuck this fucking thing. And then I went, and then I became the fucking dickbag who can't shut up about how awesome Burning Man is. So I heartily urge everybody should go at least once.
Zach goes every year.
Oh, does he really?
Yeah. When he comes back, we give him one show.
And he just goes off on
Fucking goes off. He gets one show, and then he has to shut the fuck up for 50 weeks. Call me when it's time to build the yurt again.
The yurt. Yeah, man, that's cute. Yurts are cute. I go with nothing. I just show up with a backpack.
Do you really?
Yeah.
You just show up with a backpack.
Yeah, I generally I'll get a ride with somebody, and I worked out like year 3 that the best place to sleep is on the roof of an RV. So I just find somebody, I get a sleeping bag, and I sleep on the roof of the RV because you can sleep all night because everything just becomes like a hum after a while. And in the morning, the sun wakes you up really slowly. And like if you watch people in a tent, it's like they slept in a fucking convection oven. Like they come out like because they can't fucking breathe. And RVs become a disaster after day 3.
Yeah.
And everything, like the yurts are cool, but like why build? I don't want to get a fucking Burning Man to build a house. Like so I just bring a backpack, some water, and
there you go.
My bike, and then I just sleep on the roof of whoever's RV lets me sleep on their RV, and it's a really profound experience. I've had some really beautiful moments out there, and it's something that everybody should go to once, because there's just something about being surrounded by excellence. Everybody, there's douchebags everywhere, so of course you're going to find douchebags out there, but in general the art gets more and more spectacular. Like last year they had the Larry Harvey, who is the guy who started Burning Man, passed away, so they had this, I didn't get to see it, which is such a bummer, but this Danish crew brought in like 2,000 drones, and they had
the dancing
LEDs,
drone
and they
thing.
did an entire thing that was for Larry.
That's one of the cool. The synchronized drones is one of the cooler.
It's amazing.
21st century shit. I'll take. Give me vape pens, synchronized
drone dance, because it does. They do
face swapping. I'll
and
take those 3.
Because they did this thing where they modeled the movement of the drones on those bird flocks, where they do that whole thing, and then they had this incredible piece of music that they played on all of the art car, and by all accounts it was an absolutely magical moment. I didn't get to go because of my shitbag ex-girlfriend, so I hope that she got to fucking see it. But she probably didn't, because it didn't involve her, so why would she show up at something like that? But nonetheless, I was really bummed that I didn't get to see that, so that's another reason I want to go back there, because LEDs have become so cheap and they run so effectively that the art has taken on like a whole new world, because it used to be so expensive to build these things, and now you can build cool art off of shit you buy on Amazon.
Yeah, totally.
So the art out there is absolutely spectacular.
I would like to go see the art at one point.
You should.
Before we get to our fan shit and finish the show, have you ever had the urge to take
a couple times
the pieces of song that you have and reorganize them into new and unique pieces of music?
That's interesting you say that, because I've been working on a 35-minute remix of In Your Eyes using all of the original stuff.
Really?
Yeah. Well, but 35 minutes. And because I was thinking one day, I was like, the problem with, I don't understand why, as a creator of music, if you were into EDM, like why would you be? You can do anything, so why would you limit yourself to 7 to 12 minutes? Like, what if you made a 35-minute song that is basically an entire half of a DJ set?
You'd have American Pie.
You'd have half of American Pie because American Pie's got the end bit. So I was like, all right, and the one that sort of struck me, as one that you could immediately do that to was In Your Eyes. So I've been working on this thing, but it's kind of like. Once I laid it out, I have a really shitty relationship with it now because it took so much out of you to fucking make a 35-minute version of the song. So I just have to get high and revisit it every now and then. I've been slowly building it, but one of my friends wants me to bring it out to Burning Man this summer to play on their art car. So I have to get it finished by then. But yeah, it's actually really cool.
Is the art car just like John Cusack's head just driving around?
Yeah, with a big boombox over the top. It's just like two hands and a boombox. Like, it's brilliant, man. Yeah. So I'm gonna finish it for Burning Man. But yeah, it was an idea that I was, like the other stuff is.
I mean, it's got to be kind of tempting, right?
It's tempting. It's also one of the things that I wanted to give myself with the In Your Eyes one, which I ended up fucking abandoning, was to only use the bits that you were given in the song. But if I could, I'm not really a constructor of music in that way. But if you were, this is a treasure trove.
But you could also, like in songs where beats are the same, you could take different. I saw Chris Cornell do this once with it was like a Soundgarden, Black Hole Sun and Fade to Black or something like that.
Mashups.
He fucking did, and it was really, really crazy.
Yeah. I was actually.
It seemed like you could have fun fucking with that kind of stuff.
And the thing is, like, using certain computer programs, you can actually change things in key. So you can take like Black Hole Sun and change the key of it to move it into a key for something else.
That's in the key of throw your guitar down the stairs and see what happens, right?
Yeah, it's
most Soundgarden songs are in.
Dude,
what the fuck key is that?
What is that? What is that? Do you have all of your fingers on the fretboard at one and somebody else's as well? But I was in a band called the Cool Table, and what we did was we played live mashups, and instead of doing what we called like 1/1, we would do 1/3, which is where we'd actually have four. I would be playing the drums, and the bass would be playing along with me to one song, while the guitar was playing a different song, while the keyboardist was playing another song, and then the singer was singing a completely different song over the top of it. And then verse 2, we would flip it. And it was fucking amazing.
Would it ever work?
It worked we had a 45-minute set that was breathtaking.
Is there a file of that somewhere?
There is. The only one I actually have. I have one song that we recorded. I'll send to you, which is "Since You've Been Crazy," which is "Crazy Train," "Since You've Been Gone," and "Beat It" from Billie Jean, from Michael Jackson, and it's fucking flawless.
That reminds me of like Girl Talk.
Yeah, but Girl Talk. The thing with Girl Talk that I always found in like the mashup stuff is hard to do if you don't have what I have access to. So that's dudes manipulating. But when we came to do the band, I was like, if we're just playing the instruments, we basically have access to the master tracks, because you could just pick the pieces that you want to use and then put them all together. And one of the guys in the band went to Yale, and he was in the Acapella group at Yale, so he's a very, very talented person.
Do you remember the name of the Acapella group?
I'm sure if you Google, it was competition level Acapella, dude. Like, these guys were no fucking joke.
What is it about fucking East Coast colleges and fucking everyone blowing the Acapella guys? What is it about that?
And it's not only that, it's generally white East Coast college guys.
White. I went to Penn. And it was the Pennsylvania 5000. Which, like, what the fuck is that?
You went to Penn State?
UPenn.
Oh, UPenn. I got accepted to Penn State.
More Ivy League, less kid touching.
All right, yeah. That's, well, I mean, is that necessarily
probably
a good
still
thing?
a pretty firm amount of kid touching, if I had
to
really guess.
If you think. Did you find out what the Yale acapella group is called? It's it's like the Yalesman or some shit, I'm sure.
It must be. I don't know.
But our violin player was he went to Yale he went to Juilliard. And he was brilliant too. So we would move everything in key to get it to work. What are they called?
Hello. Who goes there?
Hello.
Oh, hello.
Oh, it's the UPS guy.
Leave us a box.
Hello. Let's talk about your truck.
UPS in his house. What's happening? Thank you, sir. Oh, it's.
They don't have
my friends at Beckett Simonon. We're recording, but it's cool. I'll just sign
this.
this.
What is Beckett Simonon?
They make shoes.
Oh.
They make very lovely shoes. Thanks. Matt is the name. Yeah. Have a good day.
What shoes did you get?
They're a sponsor, so they send me nice dress shoes.
Oh, lovely.
Should I open them?
Yes, absolutely. You should open them in the air. It's always
while we're there. I also wanted to ask you: is there any, a lot of the stuff where you do the breakdowns of is like older typically.
Yes,
Like it
yeah.
kind of stops around the 90s. I think, right?
Well, I did when I did it at Guitar Center. We did every day was a decade, and by the time I got to the 2000s, really the only one that was worth the shit was Tool.
Someone specifically said, "When are you going to get to some Tool?
Yeah,
Are there
yeah,
Tool
yeah.
tracks out there?"
Yeah.
Which one did you do?
The one that I did, I have a few of them, but the one that I've done is Schism because it has 47 time signature changes. It's sick,
Song
dude.
fucking rules.
It rules.
I love
47 time signature changes. That's not an exaggeration.
Is it really?
47.
It's one of the best bands
It's
I've
fucking
ever seen.
if you
play
go
live.
onto YouTube onto the smells like
Smell this.
smells like
These
victory.
are Beckett Simonon shoes. Just smell the leather. That's
Oh
a
my God.
fucking
And they're
nice
heavy.
That's a nice shoe.
Yeah,
I don't even
that's-
know what they are.
That's a
Let's
beautiful.
see. I think these might be my wedding shoes.
Oh,
We'll see.
I would imagine that they are.
They are.
Yes.
This is the shoe I get married in.
Rogue.
Isn't that nice?
That is fucking
It's
fancy.
a dope pair of shoes. I can hook
That
you
is-
up. I make a good price for you, my friend.
Dude, these are fucking
dope, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's a dressy dress shoe.
Really on point with these Beckett Simonon shoes.
What size are you? 12.
12.
Jesus, you're a big man.
Big fatty feet. That's why I got to take the shoes off to drive the Lambo.
Do you need wider? Do you have to get a width?
I go ease.
Yeah, it's tough.
But it's good for heel toeing. I can do left side, right side.
True.
Instead of heel and toe. Wait, so so you answered one
Schism.
question. Schism,
yeah.
Tool.
2000s.
Is any hip hop really worth doing? Or not really?
Yeah, so I've been actually trying to work out how to do that, and the new stuff not so much, and not to denigrate what's happening in hip hop because I think there's still a lot of this.
No,
like
it just
Flying
doesn't
Lotus
necessarily
and people
lend
like that.
itself to the medium, really.
Because they
right?
don't really do it in a way that you could break it down.
Oh my God, is that
America's
Spizwinks?
oldest-
The Yale Acapella group is called the
Spizwinks? Get the fuck out of here.
That might as well be called "We Jack Each Other Off at Practice."
Yeah,
the
yeah.
Spizwinks.
or just like All Virgins. You know,
Dude,
like-
that's a terrible band name.
Spizwinks? That can't be what it's always been known as. That has to have been like a least reboot for the 2000s.
It says
Fucking-
America's oldest underclassmen group. The Spizwinks.
Since 1914.
Just
Yeah,
when
they've
you
been
thought,
Spizwinks since 1914. There's
Just
no fucking way.
just when you thought fucking Gene Simmons almost naming Van Halen Daddy Longlegs is the
name
worst
ever?
band name ever.
No, Spizwinks. And it's like so chronically Caucasian. It almost.
Look at the guy on the right side of the picture.
Oh my
that
God,
guy.
it's so absent.
That guy
Yeah, he's
is
into
ready
it, feeling
to
it.
get fucked.
Oh my God! It's actually a melatonin. It's like I feel whiter just
Yeah.
reading the word Spizwinks 4 times in a row. Holy shit!
Jared Kushner was definitely a
A
background.
Spizwink. Yeah. He wasn't a main voice. He was like back. He was like back in the fucking. Put him in the Sopranos.
He
it's
ran
fine.
their board or something.
Oh my God, the Spizwinks! I have to text Matt and see if they were called the Spizwinks when he was there. That is fucking
That's
awful.
his new nickname, I think.
Yeah, Matty Spizwink. So what I wanted to do with hip hop is I think the thing to do is to go back to the 90s when the producers were really, really doing some amazing shit. And if you're into hip hop at all, there's a great series on Netflix called Hip Hop Evolution.
Oh,
and
yeah, I
the
watched that. It was good, yeah.
The second season I think is better than the first. So the second season features like the guys that I'm talking about, like Premier and these guys that were really manipulating. And so I think the thing that would be cool with hip hop would be to take a track like something from Tribe Called Quest and then go in there and actually get the original samples on record,
right,
and then play them to people and show them how it had been manipulated and turned into this thing and how things have been stacked on top of each other. And
I
then
hate to say it because I fucking hate Kanye, but I feel like the college dropout would be a good
he's brilliant,
right?
Yeah,
like
I mean,
when
that's
they
the
first
problem.
started using the 40s soul samples, would be like a great time to dive into that.
Exactly, because the thing is, like, he's using that, but then he's also stacking it on top of 70s funk records, and that, so you could really see the mind of it, and then to be able to play different hip hop artists a cappella and show people that what you're listening to when if you went from like a Guru track to like a Chuck D track or one of those guys, is what you're looking at is like the different trumpet players from the jazz and blues eras, the different guitar players, like the way that they phrase is entirely individual to them. And then also, there's a hugely significant moment when the rhyme scheme, and I think it was the Green Lantern who did it, where he took the rhyme scheme from being the word at the end of the sentence rhyming, and he put the rhyme in the middle of the sentence.
Oh, yeah. It's
And
like
it was
that's like the end of the couplet.
Yeah, and it was
pretty
a
much
galvanizing moment where everyone was like, "Oh shit!" Like you can do that, and then there's a great.
And then like Eminem rhymed complete sentences.
Oh, dude,
which is just
his
super
word
crazy.
manipulation is crazy, and yeah, exactly. Like he'll have a run of like 30 of them, but there's like Grandmaster Caz and dudes who people don't really know who are so pivotal in the way that there's a Big L. Big L's passed away. He's sort of like was considered probably the greatest of all time. And there was actually a Big L versus a very young Sean Carter on WFDU, whatever the radio station was, where Big L just machine guns fucking, it's incredible. So there's
Jay-Z put on a fucking show, though. I saw him at the Forum, and he just stood on a stage by himself.
Yeah.
No guests, no I'd like to bring out.
Nope.
And they
Just
played
him.
real instruments for the most
his
part.
band is
His
massive.
band was sick.
Sick.
And it was in the round, and
Yep.
it was just him standing on a fucking round circle by himself. It was sick.
It's there. I mean, the thing is that I always get, it always. By the way, if you do want to know about the history of hip hop and rhyme scheme stuff, if you go into YouTube, there's a great Vox documentary. It's like a 10-minute miniature mini doc. I'm sure if you put like Vice history of hip hop, but it shows you how the rhyme scheme has been moved over the course of the past, 30 years, 40 years of this art form. And it's really, really, especially if you have no understanding of hip hop and why it is what it is, it's a great primer on that. And going back to the Jay-Z thing, actually, in my next session, I'm just going to start doing with this cool spot in MI. And the next one, I'm going to do an old Michael Jackson 5 song, and then headline with the Michael Jackson song. But in between, I'm going to have a couple of my drummer friends play, and one of them is hopefully going to be the dude that plays with Kendrick currently, and some like really big drummers, just to show people, because I'm tired of hearing from people that there are no good musicians and no good bands anymore.
I think there are.
There's
I just
tons
watched,
of them.
You know what I just fucking watched? It's
What's
like
that?
the end of that Masked Singer thing.
Oh, dude.
Did you see that?
No. Who was it?
So it was T-Pain was the
Okay.
monster,
Yeah.
and like
T-Pain was
I
the
didn't watch
monster.
any of it in real time, but
Right,
like
right.
when I saw a clip and I was like, oh, this is kind of a fun, it's a fun show or whatever, but like T-Pain can sing. Holy
Really?
fuck. Yeah, no. T-Pain did that like Sam Smith like Stay With Me.
Yep.
And like you think of T-Pain like auto-tune
Yeah,
and
like,
shit. Like this dude is doing like he needs to do like an R&B record or something because he's got an amazing voice. It was it was impressive.
Yeah, there's the whole thing about there not being any good musicians. It's not true. The problem is that you're being force fed a lot of garbage by radio that is owned by fucking idiots and run by morons. It's that fucking simple. I went to a jam recently for a friend of mine. Had a thing at the same space that I'm going to be at, and the band that played was a band called The Truth Band, which is made up of 3 of the sickest session musicians in the world. And this shit, I was trying to get them to play, but they're going to be on the road with the separate artists that they work with, so they can't do it. But check out The Truth Band. If you're one of these people who's having trouble finding new music, it's out there. The way that I would, because people ask me all the time, like, how do you find new music? How do you find new music? Honestly, until
What's that other good documentary about the session musicians? Not
the
12
Wrecking
feet
Crew.
from the Wrecking Crew.
The Wrecking Crew one is amazing.
Yeah.
If the best way, honestly, is get a fucking Spotify account, pay for it, and let the algorithm start suggesting shit to you, because it's a really easy way to bang through it. But I guarantee your weekly recommended list will actually start to have, as you use the algorithm more and more, it'll actually start to suggest stuff that you will find and form. One of my favorite bands of all time now, my album from last year, was suggested to me by the algorithm. So I think that...
Who's that?
It was a band called The Restorations, and they're the only...
Never heard of them.
Yeah, exactly. They're the only band that was brand new that I've ever done a session. I called them up and I was like, hey, can you get me the stems to this track? Because I really dig it's a song called The Red Door. I was like, I really dig what you're doing, and I used that as a way to teach people how to listen, so that when we then half an hour later we went through In Your Eyes by Peter Gabriel, it sort of taught them a Tetrising trick that you needed to be able to have in order to understand really how well Peter Gabriel is working.
Cool.
So there's a lot of great music out there. It's just really, really difficult to find, and it's incredibly difficult to find if the only source that you have is radio, unfortunately.
Yeah. I just discovered that Marcus King band. Heard of this guy?
No.
He is like in his early 20s.
Nice.
And when he sings, he sounds like he's 60 and has been smoking for 40
There you go.
years.
There you go.
And he fucking plays guitar like a madman, too.
All right.
It was very, very impressive.
But how did you find him?
YouTube.
Oh.
I mean, it was on Reddit. Someone was like,
This guy. Right.
fucking, kills. And I played it and I was like, that sound is coming out of that face? Like, what the fuck? It was
No, I
crazy.
love those. I mean, that's the thing, is that there's... I think it's 1 million new songs a week now are currently being uploaded on the internet worldwide, which is just, it's too much, man. Like a human, like there's no way, and you have to sort of trust tastemakers and other people. So you be your own tastemaker. I do think that the algorithm at Spotify is very helpful. Ultimately, I think the best thing is going to be when people can actually, which will hopefully be next year, when you can actually start playing copywritten music inside digital broadcasts.
I wouldn't mind paying a appropriate fee.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. I'm like, what is it, like $50 a month? Like if it was a $50 a month fee, and then when you get to like 300,000, it jumps to 25. But like, and it just keeps escalating up. Of course, like I would love to do that.
Yeah, it literally prevents you from doing your show on the internet,
and on top of that, like prevents the the support of these artists. Like one of my favorite artist of the past 10, 15 years is a guy by the name of Bon Iver, and I was playing him very, very early on my podcast, and my friend from Canada fell in love with him, and off of one play on my podcast, she then went and bought his record, and then she bought tickets to the Hollywood Bowl show for her and her fiance and myself and my ex-girlfriend, paid for flights from Canada to LA, stayed in LA for a week, rented a car, stayed at Airbnb, like all of this money off of this one time that I played this fucking Bon Iver song, and if the label had their way, they would have pulled it down before I put it up.
Yeah.
And it's like, you short-sighted fucking idiots. Like, all you talk about is how hard it is for you to expose people to new music. You have people like us who are hungry to be able to be like, hey, dude, like if we could play the Marcus, whatever his name,
like I'd love to. I would play you 30 seconds of that, and you'd be like,
I'm in.
The one.
I'm fucking down. And
so would 100 other people.
Of course, hundreds of thousands. If you could do a podcast in your basement where it's just two dicks in Jersey drinking beer and getting high and playing like Led Zeppelin and then their favorite unsigned band. This would be amazing. It would let all of the fucking music free, and that's the thing that hopefully will be kicking off when this, like if we could play stuff right now, it would be amazing. If I could come here and actually do a fucking session. Yeah.
Someone asked, and we'll get there, someone asked if I could live stream a session, and I think we just explained why you can't. Yeah.
It's the problem is that
I'd get my fucking channel taken from me.
The Digital Rights Management Act whatever it was called, it was so draconian in the way that it was established because the labels were trying to kill it.
Yeah.
The same way that people don't understand that Sean Fanning went to the majors before he released Napster. He went to them, he said, this is probably going to kill your industry. What do you want to do with it? And they said, we don't give a fuck. Get out of the room.
Oops. Sean Parker.
Yeah, Sean Fanning. Sean Fanning. Yeah.
Parker? Who's Sean Parker? Sean Parker.
He's the other guy.
Oh, there's the other guy. Oh, okay.
And all they should have done is said, great, dude, let's create an iTunes marketplace where people could pay 99 cents for a single, and we would have gone, fuck, dude, it's either $20 for an album or 99 cents for a single. I'll pay 99 cents for a single. But instead, they didn't allow that to happen. iTunes was so late to the fucking party that everyone was already Napstering at that point. Yeah. And you see the gutting of an entire industry, but that's how short-sighted these folks were. And the same thing with the Digital Rights Act. Like, stupid. Like, what's wrong with you playing a Led Zeppelin song right now? Nothing. It's going to expose your entire audience and maybe a bunch of kids that have never heard a Led Zeppelin song.
And they made $100 million touring or whatever.
Yeah, and they don't, if you had...
The record company already took their album royalties.
Right. Exactly.
It's not like the money's coming out of the artist's pocket.
Yeah, the people that are losing the money are the end users anyway. And, and on top of that, however many people are listening or streaming later would be exposed to a song they never would have heard otherwise.
Yeah, totally. We got a few from the audience. If you're with us live, get your questions in there. We got a couple minutes, and then we're going to get the fuck out of here.
This guy can't stop
Jordan
listening.
Says, thank you for the content. Can't stop listening to the session. Neither can I. I got a lot of tweets and emails about people that are fucking really into your show. Any plans to bring live sessions to Toronto?
Yes, the hope is to eventually be able to. We're currently trying to get this TV show sold. And then once that happens, that would hopefully then open the floodgates for me to get, like a booking agent to get me into all sorts of venues around the world. So Canada would be mandatory.
Perfect. I will support the world tour when that happens, and I will share the schedule.
Thanks, man.
Let's see. Can you zoom in a little, Tim? I can't read. Bimmered me says, Christian, where can I find the Europe Final Countdown episode? It's not on SoundCloud.
It's not on SoundCloud. That's in a private archive that only a few people have access to, like Matt.
Maybe you could put it into the rotation for the live show. There must be oh man, it's too bad. It's so good. I'm not going to give it away.
It might be one of my favorites of all of them.
It's very good, because like that piano track that just goes on and fucking on is really funny.
It's so good.
Yeah. Is the one that really blew my mind was Rio.
Oh, Rio's fantastic.
Is that in the SoundCloud, you think?
Yeah, the 20-minute radio, the morning
one?
show
Yeah,
is there. I'm actually, so if you're in LA or want to be, and you should come, I'm actually going to do that one live. That's going to be the next one I'm going to do. Yeah, I'm doing like a totally 80s one, so I'm going to do Tears for Fears and Duran Duran's Rio. Actually, what was really cool about the Duran Duran one was that we did it, and then John Taylor from the band heard it, and we just spent an hour talking, like just blowing sunshine up his ass about how amazing his fucking bass line is. So he heard it and then tweeted us back and had us out to their show, and the band fucking loved it.
This reminds me, is there also a Roger Taylor in Duran Duran that is not the Roger Taylor in Queen?
There is, yes.
Okay,
there was
different
different Roger Taylors.
That fucked me up, that whole episode. That fucking got me.
You're like, wait a minute, he's in both of those fucking
he's in
bands?
this shit too? God damn.
Two different Taylors, yes.
No, that one was good, and
Thank
I
you.
mean the Queen Under Pressure, both Under Pressure and
Sick.
Killer Queen are both excellent.
Thank you. Yeah.
I didn't know the fucking words to Killer Queen, and then I heard Freddie. I was like, oh shit, that's like
so random.
Really
Yeah.
Keeps
Moe
Moe
and
and Shando
Shando
in a pretty cabinet, huh? Okay.
Let them eat cake. She says just like Marie Antoinette.
It's a pretty fucking gangster line.
Gangster.
Actually.
Yeah.
It's very like Yoda-ish almost.
No, he was. There's a reason he was Freddie Mercury.
Yeah. Juan Francisco Costanzo says thoughts on band Jungle.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, somebody just
Is there a band
suggested.
called
Yeah, it's a
Jungle?
band called Jungle. They're actually playing at the Palladium coming up. I'm going to go
tomorrow, right?
Really?
Is it tomorrow?
What's
Yeah,
Jungle?
yeah.
What's Jungle about? I never heard of them.
It's sort of like a new soul, new R&B kind of thing, but they're doing their own spin on it. I think the second record, the last record, Juan, is I prefer that to the first record. I think it's a little more substantial, but I think they're really good. And if you're into that sort of thing or want to find somebody new to check out, Jungle is a great idea.
I will check out Jungle.
Give them a listen.
All right, thanks. Todd Friedman says, fan since back in the day. All right, Christian, I want to see more Toto and Dave Matthews.
Yeah, I haven't done Dave Matthews.
Dave
That's
could
definitely
be a good one.
Dave
a lot
is
of
definitely.
instruments.
There's a lot of. The only one I have that I found is Ants Marching, which is got some sick shit on it.
The drums on Ants Marching are rad.
I mean, he is a phenomenal drummer.
I used to go I was Under the Table and Dreaming, I think, was 95 or 6 maybe.
Yep.
Junior, senior year of college, I think I saw Dave Matthews like 10 times.
Nice.
It was like going to the Dave show was
right.
like
of course.
very the thing to do.
Yep.
And I think Space Hog opened.
Oh, in the meantime.
That guy had a voice.
Sick.
Holy shit, did he had a
really
voice.
great voice.
Yeah.
A friend of mine went to, my friend Craig went to University of Delaware, and I went to SUNY Purchase, right where Matt used to live, and once a fucking month he would hit me up and be like, dude, you gotta come and check out this Dave Matthews, because they were playing like tiny shithole bars in 92 and 91.
Yeah.
And he was like, bro, they're like filling the fucking place, and it's amazing. And every time I was like, who gives a fuck? I'm like, I could have seen fucking Dave Matthews in Delaware in a bar.
Yeah, I
with
saw
the
Marilyn
full
Manson
band.
in your bar.
Oh, it's
I
7
saw
Willow
that
Street.
when you were working at 7 Willow
Was
Street.
it sold
Portchester.
out?
Yeah, it was like 55 fucking people. And it 1994.
Yep.
And it was the Smells Like Children tour.
Yep.
And
Dude, Fred, that one-eyed Fred, the guy that ran that place, was a fucking madman. But he he had lost his eye in some accident that had got him a bunch of cash, and that was how he bought 7 Willow Street. So I left the record label I was working at to become like the assistant manager of 7 Willow Street. And he would do shit like, he would book a band called Leica and the Cosmonauts, and then the next day be furious with me that there were 5 people in the fucking bar. And I'm like, nobody knows who the fuck Leica and the Cosmonauts are, dude.
Marilyn Manson, cut himself on stage.
Yeah, that was during those days.
Heavily cut himself on stage. And I was like, is this even real? And then I was like,
full
I
on.
think it is. Fucking crazy.
Full on, meant it.
Todd also had an actual question in there. His Lotus Esprit gearbox is a hunk of shit. Is there any way to reinforce or replace it? Todd has found the limit of the Lotus Esprit.
Is that where it starts
The
and
Lotus
stops?
Esprit uses a Renault 5-speed transaxle. The DeLorean also used it, and they used it the same gearbox from the first Lotus Esprit in late 70s all the way through the turbo ones. So the N turbo ones, the turbo V8 ones, you can't launch them because you'll blow the gearbox fucking sky high. It's a very weak gearbox. I don't think there is a cost-effective replacement.
Workaround on that problem.
It might be possible to get a Porsche transaxle to work. It might be possible to get some crazy, like, Ricardo gearbox like the 4GT use. Maybe there's like a Sedev race box or something, but the short answer is actually no. There is no way to improve the Lotus Esprit's gearbox. Yeah.
Why would they do that? Why would they go with was it just a cost-cutting thing that they would do?
Yeah.
Like, wasn't there like a time where like the original Jeep
Lotus
CJs
never
had like
had money.
Peugeot clutches in them? Oh, that's true.
Lotus has never had any money.
The most money they made was like James Bond's fucking Spy Who Loved Me.
Lotus
probably.
literally like designed the complete DeLorean on the DL because they had no money.
Did they really?
Yeah. The DeLorean was going to be its own car, and then John DeLorean went to Colin Chapman and said, "We have this prototype.
Yeah.
It doesn't drive very good. Maybe you can come help us out." Colin Chapman went and looked at it and went, "What you have, sir, is a fantastic steaming hunk of shit." And it is unfixable. It is unsolvable. What I will do is throw it in the garbage, sell you Esprit chassis on the cheap, and you will build this buck that goes over the Esprit chassis. Yeah. DeLorean and a Lotus Esprit share many components.
Wow. Yeah, my friend Prince Paul back in '92, he owned like an Impreza that was like a Lotus-tuned Impreza.
Oh, yeah.
They had
not the Impreza. It was an Isuzu Impulse.
That's it, the Impulse.
Lotus did a lot of that, tuned by Lotus, handling by Lotus. By far the most embarrassing. In Australia, there was something called an Isuzu Bighorn, which is a trooper. The Isuzu Trooper in the Australian market. They had a fucking handling by Lotus one. Yeah, it's the most. It's like a 9-foot tall box on off-road tires with a badge that says "Handling by Lotus," and you go, "Colin, you must have needed the money bad, sir."
Yeah, it's like one of those things. Just get the rent covered for that month, kind of shit. Like, what can we sell? Just fucking sell it,
bro. Don't tell anybody. You know, there's a watch guy named Frank Mueller. You've heard of Frank Mueller? They have those watches that are called the Crazy Hours.
Yeah.
They don't go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It's like 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah, it's fucking ridiculous.
Yeah, well, Frank Mueller is a very smart person, and he realized that he could make more money licensing that movement technology to the fakers.
No.
So he sold his own technology to the guys making fakes of his watches.
So good. That's a fucking stoner idea. That's a bunch of dudes sitting around sharing a joint and being like, "Hey, man.
You know what we could do?
You know what we could do?
Nobody wants these watches with the stupid hours. You know what we could do?
We could sell it to people that are making cheaper knockoff versions of it, but using our own. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Wow, well done.
Max Robinson says, thoughts on the new Corolla hatchback still offering a stick? Is it a good way to go for a new hot hatch since the Fiesta and Focus got banished to Europe? So yeah, you can get a Corolla hatchback with a 6-speed manual transmission.
Nice.
I have not driven one. I have absolutely fucking no clue what it's like. My friend Larry Chen has one. I think gave it to him, but he likes it.
It looks pretty.
It looks cool.
Yeah, it looks
fine.
cool. Yeah, it's not an embarrassing looking car.
Now that the gentleman says that, maybe I'll book one, and I wouldn't mind having a go. And I mean, look, the virtue of any Toyota is that you can treat it like garbage
forever,
and you should.
Yeah.
And so that's what I would recommend getting.
Yeah,
a Corolla.
my first car was a 1987 Honda CRX, the silver little guy.
Yeah.
Had 2 seats and a fucking package shelf.
Yeah.
Huge. Had a massive bass box in it. Sounded fucking amazing. 129,000 miles on it, and driving from New York to D.C. when I was in school, 60 miles to the gallon.
Yeah.
Dude.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
It's surprising.
And it would just change the oil, and that 100. I put 40.
Lightweight, low power, correct gearing, good aerodynamics. I mean, it was
incredible.
not rocket science.
No, and it was 60 miles to the gallon, dude, on a car that had 100. They were saying it progressively got better as the engine wore in.
It will. Yeah, most cars do actually. Most cars, you get it 10% better as the engine. You also get more power.
Oh, right.
You get more horsepower, and as the rings and stuff break.
Wearing, yeah. It's like you should break in your headphones.
CRXs are like if you have a nice one, like
Yeah.
that's a classic now. It's like an actual classic.
I love that little car.
Yeah.
It was fucking perfect.
I mean, look, like 10 G's gets you a great one.
Yeah,
if you've got
right.
10 G's, like you can get a really
I had
good
like
one.
the SI, so it had like the silver fucking wheels.
Well,
and like
SIs are very rare.
It was sick.
Yeah,
I love that.
If you
little
want
car.
an SI now, a good SI, sad, but the best place to get one is out of Japan, and you got to deal with driving on the right side.
Right.
But a US spec SI in any kind of condition that's worth buying is going to be expensive. I mean, relatively.
I shouldn't have crashed mine.
Yeah. Lucky you're alive. Nathan says, moving to Australia for a year to start up a new team. I have a 2018 AMG GTS. Very nice. Should I sell it at a loss or try and store it at a friend's house while I'm gone? Should I bother trying to get something like an R33 GTR and bring it back, or is that not worth it? Well,
All right.
a couple of things.
Let's parse it out,
A couple
Matt.
of things to unpack here.
Yeah.
One, it may be possible to bring that car with you. If it's going there on a not permanent basis, a year is a good amount of time. It's possible to get carnets, which are like a tourist visa for equipment. You may be able to bring it to Australia with you.
Solid.
If he sells it at a loss, an AMG car after 1 year, that's a big loss.
Is it really?
It's a big loss.
What are you gonna take a hit on that?
He's
what are you
going
thinking?
to take a $40,000 or $50,000 hit on that car.
fucking
Yeah, he's going to take a big hit on it. Yeah, take a big hit on that car.
Jesus.
If you like the car,
Right.
and you aren't super financially worried about it, and you think you might want to keep driving it when you get home,
Store it.
I would store it.
Right.
Because the extra year that it sits won't affect the value this year to next year.
Yeah.
It's already, you drove it off the dealer
You
home.
already lost
You're fucked. You drove it off the
bulk
dealer
of it's
home.
gone.
Yeah, it's gone. So you're not getting it back. So it's mellowed for the moment. So fucking awful. Additionally, if you find a car that is importable in Australia, it wouldn't be the worst idea to bring it back. However, the car may be a little, they have a different laws, and so it just, buy the right car. Don't buy something that is fucked in Australia just because it's there. There's a lot of Japanese cars in Australia. You could definitely bring something cool back.
Yeah, it's my parents lived in New Zealand for a while, and New Zealand has this fucking amazing thing that this Orwellian thing they do.
Best.
It's
Where
about-
in New
it's-
Zealand were they?
They were in a place called Takapuna, mate, right outside Auckland. It's lovely out there.
Takapuna.
Yeah. My favorite. One of the I used to occasionally have to go to Australia to fly into New Zealand, depending on the way the flights worked out. One of my favorite things I've ever seen was there was a T-shirt. And I can't believe no American team has robbed this. There was a T-shirt that said, "I support 2 rugby teams, Australia and whoever's beaten New Zealand." It's like,
Very funny.
So New Zealand has this Orwellian thing where if they import a car from Japan and bring it straight to New Zealand, it's called New Zealand New. Which is like
Yeah,
the
New
next
Zealand
thing-
is a dumping ground for
it's-
used Japanese
Yeah, it's
cars.
like New Zealand New, mate. It's new here. No, it's got fucking 60,000 miles on it.
Very, very funny. New Zealand's amazing.
Amazing.
All engine swaps are legal.
Are they really?
Yep. All engine swaps.
Of course you know that's why.
It passes a basic safety inspection. All
Right,
engine
right,
swaps
right.
are legal, and the roads are amazing. Everywhere you go, it's a beautiful road.
Yeah, I mean, everywhere you go is a beautiful view.
Yeah,
like,
well, that's-
to me, it was like everything I loved about England from the 80s when I was late 70s when I left, and everything I loved about Hawaii today.
Yeah.
Cricket on the fucking lawn and then surfing. I was like, this is fucking heaven.
It's my favorite place in the world.
And then you go down to the South Island and it's literally Middle
It's
Earth.
the same thing,
you
but
know?
without people.
Right, yeah, it's just
Yeah.
gorgeous. And then the people are so fucking bored that they invent bungee jumping and then they get bored of that. And then they're like, what's the next thing? Did you see the thing they have where they just put you inside a huge inflated bowl and then they
the
just
zorbing
kick
down
you
the huge hills.
And then they just kick you down a fucking hill.
Yeah.
With no fucking, there's
The
no
hill's
guide
really big.
rails.
Yeah, the hill's really big. It's really big. It seems like if after a couple seconds you decide you don't want to be
you're
there,
fucked.
you're super fucked. super
I was like,
fucked.
this thing doesn't stop
Yeah.
until nature
Yeah.
and science stops it naturally. And the rest
real.
of the time, you're literally miserable.
But if you almost die doing that, New Zealand's socialist healthcare will cover
the
you.
healthcare you've signed. As long as you've signed the waiver,
They'll cover you.
Unbelievable.
Gigi wants me to know that he bought a Mini. John Cooper Works instead of
Nice.
the Fiesta ST. Drive safe. Christian will probably be down with that.
I love the Mini.
Mini guy.
I was just looking at it.
Viren Feltz Says Richard Portal, we said I haven't mentioned Edvard Vedvard this show yet. We stuck off the Pearl Jam on this one. Although, Tim, is my Instagram handy? Do you see this painting this guy sent me? This fan sent me, and I want to get his name out of the post. Keep going. On the right.
This thing is sick.
This painting, this fan sent me. What's his name on the thing? I can't read it, Tim. I'm sorry.
It's you put the magazine in for scale.
I put
It's huge.
This painting is like
fucking amazing.
5 feet square, and it's a beautiful.
Is it acrylic?
It's acrylic on plywood.
Gorgeous.
Yeah, I'm gonna hang that in my new office.
What's his
really
name?
excited.
That's rad.
What's the painter's name?
Eric Faraci.
Well done.
Faraci.
Yeah, it's Eric ERIC FARACI on Instagram. Fucking hire this guy to paint something
It's
for you.
really, really good.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's the best Frank Zappa I've ever seen.
And he packaged it up really well. It arrived from wherever.
Oh, did he really?
Yeah, he really packaged it up.
Was it heavy? Because it's on plywood.
It's huge.
Oh my God! Well done.
Giant.
Yeah. No, it's a really good job.
Cool. Wait, we got a couple more before we get here. Wait. Any chance you could put a camera up? Oh, that was I can't.
It's the same problem, man. I've had to. One of the things I'm trying to do is stay on the right side of the rights holders, so when I go to them for permission and everything, I can look at them and be like, "Hey, I wasn't a dick ever."
Yeah.
Let's be cool and play fair. It probably will change nothing other than my own guilt. But I would love to put a camera up. And the thing is, if I put a camera up, you can do that thing where you charge people $15 to get into the room. And I could probably make a boatload of cash off of that. But until I can then disseminate that cash to the people that I'm using their music, I don't want to do that. So eventually, yes. But as of right now, no. Sorry.
Alrighty then. Tim, someone's asking about Mountoon B3 or B5 packages. Can you pull up a different window and find out what those are? Because I want to answer his question, but I don't know what those packages mean.
Oh, T-Pain did an NPR Tiny Desk concert?
Yeah,
What?
I did not know that.
I got to check that out for sure. Thank you
for that.
Yeah.
And then someone asked what the best roads are near Seattle. I don't know any of the road names. I do know that if you leave Seattle driving south, there's a big mountainous region with giant fucking mountains just south of Seattle to the southeast of Seattle. If you go to Google, there's a beautiful road that is like a main road that goes right through this amazing mountain range, and that's where I went in the Jaguar F-Type launch, so you can go find my Jaguar F-Type video, and that is it.
What's your favorite road that you've driven in the States?
Oh Jesus! I mean, ever?
Yeah, what's the one where you're like, okay, I got a gun to my head.
We are so lucky here.
We're so lucky.
I mean, if I had to only drive one road ever again, Angeles Crest Highway is
fantastic.
Is about as good as it gets in America.
Yeah.
There are some roads I have driven, like in North Carolina, like the Blue Ridge Parkway, and some of those offshoots are extraordinary. The Silicon Valley Peninsula, Skyline, and those offshoots are just incredible.
I think that's where I went with Camisa
probably
the other day.
Yeah,
it's
probably.
Gorgeous.
And there's another one on the other side of the bay by Camisa's house that's spectacular as well. And
I will say one of my
Colorado
favorite, riding a motorcycle up the PCH.
Oh yeah, like on the Big Sur portion of it. Yeah,
fucking spectacular.
Yeah, I mean,
man.
if you can get the right time of day, so you're not fucking with the RVs and stuff. Like, I went to my cousin's bachelor party in Big Sur, and then I left at Monday morning at 6 a.m. from Big Sur to come back down. So I bombed that.
Right.
Nobody.
It was gorgeous.
It was just glorious. Tim, did you find a difference in a B3 and a B5 kit?
Right now, it looks like the B3 is for a Focus ST, so must not be correct, and B5 is Focus RS.
Well, the gentleman asked about modifying his Focus RS. What package should they get? I had the full Mountoon suite of bolt-ons, which was the intake, up pipe, exhaust, the intercooler, the short shift kit, and the stainless steel brake lines. I did not change the turbo. So I don't know what they call their packages. I think it's the B5. Well, I think it's the B5 package. It's like the 400 horsepower wheel horsepower one. Is it worth the money? Absolutely. Would I go past it? No, because these are things that can be bolted on and off very easily. They're not expensive. They're proven. They don't affect your reliability. They don't affect your fuel economy. They don't affect your drivability. They make the car a lot more exciting. Anymore, you might as well buy a new car. You are tuning out of class at that point, and you might as well just get a better car. But that's what I would do. Nick's, wait, where we go? Wierenfeld says, do I listen to the Bee Gees? I don't, but something tells me that you think I probably should.
The way I start my Bee Gees session is I walk out and I look at the crowd and I say, you're all a bunch of fucking assholes. Because you have denigrated one of the sickest fucking groups of musicians to ever walk the planet. And the Bee Gees are absolutely breathtaking in their work. It's incredible. There's a Bee Gees session.
There's
one. An hour-long one.
I think I listened to Staying Alive.
It's just fucking relentless, man. Yeah. There's acoustic guitar that goes through the whole thing that you have no idea about. Because they wrote... So here's the thing about the Bee Gees. They wrote the entire soundtrack to Saturday Night Fever in 3 days in the Chateau Marmont without drugs, having not seen the film.
That's crazy.
They just read the script. So imagine then because the director said it. They're like, you have to understand, we put the fucking sound against picture of him walking down the fucking main street at the beginning. And we're like, what the fuck is this magic?
Yeah.
The entire thing. They also had the single largest, they had 2 huge warehouses in the valley for their dildo and pornography collection. They had the single largest private dildo and pornography collection in the world.
Really?
Yeah. I did a Bee Gees session. It's one of the cool things.
Why is this not a museum?
Right? One of the cool things about doing sessions in this town is like people come up to me after the sessions who've had personal interactions, and this guy came up to me. He was like, I used to help manage them. And he was like, dude, they had 2 warehouses that were just full of dildos and pornography because people would just send them shit all the fucking time because they were pimps, dude.
This is what happens if you get known for that. It just starts showing up.
Yeah.
This is what happens with Leno in his garage. Cars will just show up. Cars will just show up. Here,
No.
Jay. Yeah, all the time.
Really?
Cars show up at Jay's house, and it's literally like, dear Jay, my husband passed away.
You should have
this. He
this.
thought you would take good care of this. Here you go.
No way.
Yeah, he's got a lot of cars like that.
He's a very nice chap.
He is.
Yeah, actually, I was when I was working with a band, we did the Leno show, and I was standing outside leaning on his car in a Texaco shirt back in the day when everybody wore like gas station shirts and shit. And he walked out and busted my balls for leaning on his car, and then it was something dope, and we stood talking about his car for like 15 minutes.
Leaning on his Duesenberg?
It was probably something like that. It was like something I should never have had my ass anywhere near. It was brilliant.
Excuse me, Christian. That's a Bugatti Atlantic Coupe.
The cool thing was that I had like Angelo was the name on the shirt, so he called me Angelo. He was like, hey, Angelo, you want to stop leaning on my fucking car? And I was like,
funny.
That's why it says parking saved reserved for Mr. Leno. I get it now.
That's why this car looks
My
like
bad.
it cost $10 million.
At least.
Someone wants us to play a little game here. Thojo, were you a Sopranos fan, Christian?
A Sopranos fan?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. They want us to know what cars the Sopranos family members would drive today. Mainly Chrissy, Paulie, and Sil. I'll stop there. Carmela and Tony? Well, Tony would drive the new Escalade. He just gets the new full-size SUV.
Yep.
Carmela was obsessed with the Porsche Cayenne.
So she would have...
She'd probably have a Panamera now, I think.
Ooh,
right?
I think you're probably
She's getting
right.
up there.
Yep.
AJ's fucking worthless. He's still driving that Xterra. The yellow Xterra with the Puerto Rican flags on him.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah. Paulie, he had a Cadillac, a 2-door Cadillac DTS, or the ETS, the Eldorado Coupe, ETC.
He wouldn't still be in a caddy.
No. But what does an old Italian single man drive?
It's got to be a sedan.
Maybe like it's a big coupe. It has to be a full-size coupe. Like, fuck, it's hard. They don't even make that genre.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, that car doesn't even exist anymore.
Yeah, you have to get like a 4-year-old Mercedes CL 500 is where he'd be at, right? And then
yes, probably.
And Chrissy would be driving a Range Rover SVR, I think. Right?
You're about right.
Silvio drove a regular Cadillac Seville.
Yes.
So he, I think, would be in a CTS or probably a CT6.
You're right. Yeah, he would
Cadillac
stay Cadillac.
sedan.
Yeah, he would do that.
The Goombas, they don't really evolve.
Nope.
I mean, just get the newer version of
If you know what you like, don't fucking bother. You know what I'm saying?
Nathan would like to inform us that someone else took the big depreciation hit on his AMG, and so he was smart enough to not do that. Good job, buddy. Lastly, Adam says, Christian, I found your show on SoundCloud. I've been listening and love the work. Is there anywhere to listen to the full long shows?
No, there isn't.
This is the problem when you do a job for someone else.
Yes.
It's kind of...
I mean, the thing is that I ultimately do have a secret archive of all of them, and it's a treasure trove of like 60 hours of some of the greatest radio ever made. But I know that if I tell everyone to message me, I will have 900,000 of them.
No, don't.
And it's a terrible idea.
Don't. Maybe we could like...
Well, you know what we should do? Why don't we do this? Where could people send you?
Yeah.
And then we pick like 5 people, and then I give them like there's like the Willy Wonka
drop one.
the golden golden ticket.
I'll figure out I'll play an Instagram game
Nice.
to win the golden
the archive,
and I'll send out final countdown like.
So we'll do that. We'll work out a way that like 5 people can have access to the archive because it really is.
And you can all message them.
It's all, yeah, please. And it's actually really cool. I put up the audio. I just put up the audio for the Doobie Brothers and Freebird one from the live one, so it gets updated.
Freebird was very good. Vinny liked it,
dude. Freebird was he there? He didn't come up afterwards.
No, Vinny went to Freebird.
Oh, nice. Yeah. So Freebird. So I did Doobie Brothers first, Long Train Running, which is just incredible, and then I went into Freebird. And it's the 9-minute version. So it took like an hour and 25 minutes. And at the end of it, I stopped and I just looked at everybody. I was like, I can tell that you're all fucking worn out.
Yeah.
So then I played the whole song. And of course, when I played the whole song, I pulled down the Pro Tools window and I put up a picture of the band so everybody can blah, blah, blah. And I could because I can feel everybody. It's 200 people. So it's hard to not feel what they're going through. And I could tell when we got to the moment when the guitar solo started that they still knew they had like half of the fucking song left.
They're all looking down at their watches.
And
won't you fly free?
And a friend of mine was in the crowd. And she was like, dude, I watched everyone like look at each other and be like, holy fuck, dude, we're only
Still
like halfway through.
Still going.
So it gets updated with the audio. My birthday show is up there, and I would thank you for coming to that.
It was fun.
Yeah, thank you for coming.
There was a big greeting line, and I figured I'd see you another time.
Yeah, absolutely. But it was a real joy to have you there, and I was really happy. That was one of my favorite nights. One of my favorite parts of it was people telling me that they spent half of the show watching me and the other half show looking at my mom just fucking cackling at every stupid thing that I said and realizing that half the problem was that she had just encouraged me my entire life. I've been like, oh, that's why. Yeah. She's been doing that for fucking 50 years. It all makes sense now. Yeah.
It was a very good show.
So we'll do that. We'll send out Willy Wonka magic gold tickets.
Yeah. How do you like your Panerai?
I love it. Thank you so much.
Crown and Caliber with the hookup.
Yes, thank you, Crown and Caliber with the hookup. It is. It's my favorite thing.
It's very lovely.
I mean, if you got a Mark 50, you might as well do it with something that you're going to hold on to and be like,
I got the Crown and Caliber hookup as well.
Yeah,
I'm
nicely
going
done. What'd you go with?
Explorer Black Dial today.
Fancy schmancy.
All right, should we get the fuck out of here?
Up to you.
Enjoy our rainy afternoons. This was a quality program. Thank you for being available at the last minute to entertain myself and my audience. Get Kristen's show at sessiononair.com. Is that correct?
Yes.
If you're in LA, San Francisco, any other cities soon?
I'm going to be hopefully going to Oregon coming up and then Chicago. So the easiest way to do it is to go to the sessiononair.com, join the email list, and then all of this stuff goes out there. If you are in San Fran, March 9th, there are a few tickets left to the Bohemian Rhapsody Deep Dive, which is 2.5 hours of mind-blowing fucking shit that you just change your life.
Go say hi to my fiance. Ask her about cars. She loves that.
So if I want to straight out the Cosworth engine on my don't care.
And of course, King Trut on Instagram.
And I want to say thank you.
He's a quality follow.
Thank you, man. And I just want to thank all of your fans that actually reached out to me and were like, dude, didn't know who you were, and I've listened to your shit, and it's amazing. Thank you so much. So thank you.
I've gotten a lot of those as well.
Your fan base is really solid, man.
They're fucking rad. Yeah, we got
good
folks here. All right. Well, that's our show, folks. What day is it? It's Thursday. When do we have our next live show? It's Sunday, I think. I think I got a show on Sunday. Son of a bitch. Hang on, let me look. I'm pretty sure we have a show on Sunday. Yeah, with, I believe it's Matt Hardigree. Matt Hardigree from Jalopnik, from Drive on NBC Sports, etc. will be this Sunday at 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern for the live schedule. Okay, the Smoking Tire Podcast is powered by Shout Engine. Blah, 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 blah. I've said it every fucking week. If you don't know it by now, go fuck yourself. Goodbye.